Welcome back to Only Talk Sports, and today we have the round of 32 live game reaction between the Duke Blue Devils and the Tennessee Volunteers. This should be a fantastic game. I'm looking forward to this game for sure. You got a blue blood in Duke, and you got the Tennessee Volunteers who've had a lot of success in the regular season under Rick Barnes, but not a lot of success in the NCAA tournament. So it'll be interesting to see if they can break that snot and find a way to get to the Sweet 16. But this should be a high-level game between two top teams. And we already have Dave Valensky in the house. Thanks for being here, Dave. He says Duke versus Tennessee, the battle of the two schools I can't stand the most. They're not in the Big Ten, mostly for personal reasons. The kid in high school I couldn't stand went to Duke, and my cousin's ex-wife to Tennessee. That's hilarious right there. But I think that overall, besides that, this is a game that a lot of people have a lot of thoughts about. A lot of people don't like Tennessee or Duke. A lot of people like Tennessee or Duke. So it should be a great game for a lot of people. A lot of people will be looking forward to this game for sure. It should be a high level game. I think that March Madness so far has delivered. You saw last night, Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. That was insane. I think overall it goes to show yet again that Purdue's style of play just does not really work for the NCAA tournament. They're a good team, and Zach Edey, he's a monster down low, but their guards are inconsistent. And when they run everything through Zach Edey, guards win in March. You have to have great guard play. And Purdue yet again loses early in the NCAA tournament. They lost to North Texas in 2021. And then in 2022, they lost to St. Peter's. And now they lose to Fairleigh Dickinson. And to a lot of people's point, losing to Fairleigh Dickinson was a lot worse than losing to UMBC for Virginia was back in 2018. So just a bad loss overall for Purdue. They'll have to find a way to rebound. But you also had some big wins last night. Indiana beat Kent State. Miami beat Drake. Arizona State lost to TCU in a thriller. That game was really close down the wire, but just a lot of good games overall. March Madness has been awesome to start this 2023 season of it, and I think that now that we're in the round of 32, the games are going to get better and better. And you just saw San Diego State beat Furman. Furman obviously beat Virginia. That was a really good win for the Paladins, but unfortunately for Furman, they could not, continue the streak and win another game, losing to San Diego State by a decent amount. Brian Dutcher getting the Aztecs to the Sweet 16. So that was a really good win there. But this game right here should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to how Tennessee, without Zakai Ziegler at point guard, unfortunately for him, being injured, he's not able to play, how Santiago Vescovi, how he plays in this game, and whether Tennessee's center Uros Plavic will be able to stop Kyle Filipowski. It should be a really fun game, but I'm looking forward to it. Rob Lopez, thanks for being here. Rob, he says Duke minus 3.5. Let's go. For sure, I definitely see why Duke's favored. The way they played against Oral Roberts and the way they finished the regular season and the way they played in the ACC tournament versus the way Tennessee played at the end of the regular season and the way Tennessee played against Louisiana Lafayette in the round of 64 definitely shows that Duke should be favored in this game. But maybe that will make Tennessee have a chip on their shoulder and have a really good chance to win this game. I think it will be a high-level game, but if Duke's talent, if their guard play and their talent with Kyle Filipowski and Derek Lively at center, I think that if all of them play at a high level, then I do think Tennessee won't have enough firepower. But if Santiago Vescovi, if he has a big game for Tennessee, puts up 20, 25 points, then they have a chance. I think Tennessee, it's not, in the water for them where they have no chance to win. I don't think that, they have no shot. I think they can beat Duke, but Duke overall, I think, does have an advantage in several areas, but it should be interesting to watch for sure. Dave Valensky says Big Ten schools are going to troll Purdue on that for years to come, mostly Indiana, though. Well, I mean, think about it. All season long, people said Purdue was better than Indiana. Purdue, they won the Big Ten. They, were a way better team. And they have Zach Edey. He should be Big Ten Player of the Year, which he won, and he should be National Player of the Year. But I think overall, looking at Purdue, what they just did kind of goes to show that potentially Zach Edey maybe shouldn't win National Player of the Year. He's a great player. But Trayce Jackson Davis for Indiana is putting up stats that no one's put up in 20, 25 years. He put up 20-plus points, over 10 boards, 5 assists, and 5 blocks. He's the first player to do that in an NCAA tournament game since 1985, which is insane. I think overall is going to go down the wire between the two. But Purdue definitely was a bad loss. And if Indiana can go really far in March Madness, it definitely will really help out Indiana in the respect that they'll be able to say, hey, we went further again than Purdue in the tournament, even though overall Purdue has had a lot more success in the regular season lately. Easy Money's here. Thanks for being here. He says, hey, Jeffrey, what's happening? What's up, everyone? Thanks for being here, Easy Money. The game's about to tip off. It should be a fantastic game overall. Looking at the matchups, I think Duke is the more talented team and has a lot more depth across the board. But I do think that Tennessee, they have a good coach in their own right, even though Rick Barnes has not been able to lead the Volunteers far in the tournament, and they have good players. But it should be interesting to watch for sure. Duke with the ball first. 19:50 to go in the first half. Duke has a really talented roster, a lot of freshmen. Jeremy Roach, the head of the attack. He's an older guy. Definitely helps out the Duke Blue Devils with the experience. He has the basketball. Trying to draw a foul. He swings it to Kyle Filipowski, who's been the leading scorer for Duke this year. And he tries to get fouled, but they call a travel on Filipowski. And Easy Money says, oh, Rocky Flop versus the Duke boys. We'll see if Rocky Flop is true today or if they are Rocky Top. It will definitely be interesting to find out. I think overall Tennessee has, built a reputation of losing early in the tournament, which has not helped out their cause for sure. But they have a chance to break that streak. Down low, Tennessee tries to get a score, but they miss. And you've got Duke getting the rebound. Tyrese Proctor with the basketball. He's had a solid season. He reclassified, so he's a year younger than everybody. Kyle Filipowski, he misses a two, and Tennessee with the basketball. And they do call a foul on Tennessee on the rebound attempt. Kyle Filipowski got knocked down. Easy Money, he says, I watched the NIT game between Vanderbilt and Michigan. Vandy won by a point. Exciting finish. I think Jerry Stackhouse has done a fantastic job with the Commodores this season. And I know that they didn't really have maybe the resume to make the NCAA tournament, and maybe they turned it on at the end of the season too late. But he's definitely done a fantastic job because it is really tough to win at Vanderbilt. So kudos to Stackhouse for getting his team to continue to win in the NIT over a pretty solid Michigan team with a lot of potential NBA talent. But Duke to inbound after that foul. Jeremy Roach with the basketball. He's trying to make a move. He kicks it to Filipowski over to Dariq Whitehead, who's been playing better as the season's gone along, but he misses a three. Josiah Jordan James with the rebound. Really solid older player for Tennessee. He's been there for a few seasons. Santiago Vescovi with the ball. Tennessee kicks it down low, and there is a foul on Duke on Filipowski. Definitely a very physical game so far. Both teams battling it on the glass, trying to get rebounds. But Jonas Adu, he got fouled. But Tennessee inbounding the basketball. And there's a two for Olivier Nakuma. He's had a really good season for Tennessee, averaging over 10 points per game. But he gets the Volunteers on the board first. So it's 2-0 Tennessee, 18:30 to go in the first. Jeremy Roach with the ball at the top of the key, trying to survey. He kicks it to Filipowski. Both teams trying to settle into this game, figure each team out. Dariq Whitehead with the basketball. He kicks to Derek Lively. He's only averaging 5 points a game. And Jeremy Roach for three to get the Blue Devils on the board, 3-2. That's a big shot for Roach. Maybe that'll get him going in this game. He's a little bit streaky of a player, but he is a pretty solid player, especially when he's knocking shots down. But Duke with the lead, 3-2. Tennessee almost turns it over, and they do turn it over. What a behind the back by Tyrese Proctor. He's driving into the lane, kicks it to Dariq Whitehead in the corner, and Dariq Whitehead for three, 6-2. And they call another foul on Tennessee. The Blue Devils are hustling early. That was a really good play by Tyrese Proctor. He did a behind-the-back dribble, and then he kicked it out in the corner for Dariq Whitehead, and he knocked a big three in. If Tennessee keeps turning the basketball over and gives easy looks for Duke in transition, it will be a long game for the Volunteers. They're going to have to find a way to settle down and not let Duke get these easy transition opportunities. But they're having to review the play to see if the foul occurred before or after the shot. For Tennessee, if the foul occurred before the shot, then the three don't count. But it definitely looks like it happens around the same time, so the refs are going to have to find a way to see whether the foul occurred before or after the shot. But the game earlier was San Diego State and Furman. That was a really interesting game overall because Furman, they beat Virginia. But I do think that Furman got, a pretty good draw with the Cavaliers, especially since Virginia's really struggling in the NCAA tournament. Furman got the 1-point win, but they really struggled against San Diego State. Brian Dutcher's team was way too much, but they did call the foul on Tennessee after the shot. So Duke gets the 3 and they get the ball. And Uris Plavic has 2 fouls for Tennessee. That's tough. But Duke just turned the basketball over and they call a timeout for Tennessee on the ground. Josiah Jordan James, he gets the timeout. Tennessee can get the fouls called for them too. I think overall this is an interesting game right here between Tennessee and Duke, because I think if Tennessee was being matched up with a team that was like a Virginia or something like that, I think Tennessee could have a chance to win because it's more of a slower paced game. It's between two teams that kind of struggle on the offensive end. But Tennessee being matched up with Duke, that's tough because Duke likes to run the floor. They have a lot of players that are going to be in the NBA, a lot of talent. I think overall that Tennessee's going to have to find a way to slow this game down, make it a lower scoring game. And if Duke gets the ball in transition and gets easy buckets like they did with Tyrese Proctor kicking it to Derek Whitehead in the corner, it's going to be a long afternoon for Tennessee, and they will not be advancing to the Sweet 16. But Tennessee, they have the coach, they have the players to be able to slow Duke down, but it will be interesting to see. But Uris Plavic having 2 fouls, that's really tough for Tennessee because the Volunteers don't really have another body to put on Derek Lively and Kyle Filipowski like Uris Plavic. So it's going to be very interesting to see what the Volunteers are going to be able to do on that front. But I think Tennessee is going to have to win this game with Josiah Jordan James and Santiago Vescovi both having big games, which they are capable of having. Vescovi's had tons of games this year where he scored a lot of points, 25 points. But overall, he is a player that sometimes disappears on the offensive end, but he is a solid player, but he's going to have a big game for Tennessee if they want to win. Easy Money said the lady Vols are kicking butt. They're about to win 95-50. Maybe they should play the Duke boys. I mean, that's definitely a good statement. I mean, who knows? Maybe they could win. I mean, definitely the physicality is different between the two sports for sure. But I do think that Tennessee women's basketball, they're really good. They're not as good as they were back in the day when Pat Summitt was head coach, but still they are a really solid basketball team. But Tennessee men's, I mean, they had their moments this year. They're 24-10 and 11-7 in the SEC. That's not terrible. That's why they got a 4 seed. They had a lot of good wins. But Tennessee definitely has had a lot of bad games this year, even games that they won, like that Auburn game that they won 48-46, that a lot of people said was a questionable ending. Specifically, when you look at the fact that Tennessee definitely fouled Wendell Green at the end, they didn't call the foul. But if he had to hit all 3 free throws, Auburn would have won 49-48. But Tennessee definitely disappears on the offensive end at times, which is a problem. It's really tough to win a lot of games in March Madness when your offense just disappears. Dave Valensky says, I don't even know what the Duke coach looks like. I'm so used to Mike. Well, I mean, overall, I mean, he's just a really young coach. He's in his 30s, John Shire. I don't really know how to describe him, but yeah, he's definitely different than Mike Krzyzewski. Big age gap. I'm sure a lot of people will get used to him, especially if he is the Duke coach for a long time. I mean, I think he's done a solid job, but it's just tough to evaluate, especially when you have such a talented team, how good of a coaching job that you're doing. But I think overall, Duke has improved as the season's gone along. They've gotten healthy. The rotations have been solid, so I think he definitely deserves some props. Vescovi for 3, that's a big shot for Tennessee. 6'5" Duke. If the Volunteers can get Vescovi going, that could really help them out for sure. With the Blue Devils with a 1-point lead, 6-5, 17 minutes to go in the first. But Tennessee already used the timeout to avoid the top. That will be interesting. They don't have the use it or lose it timeout anymore. But Filipowski on the right block. He goes inside and he knocks the shot down. He's a good player. Definitely first-round draft pick material. 8-5 Duke. The Blue Devils are hustling early. Tennessee trying to hang in there. Tennessee swinging the ball around. Josiah Jordan James with a floater, and he misses. And it's off Tennessee, so it's Duke basketball. Easy Money says South Carolina girls are kicking butt last time. I saw they're undefeated. Yeah, they are fantastic. South Carolina women's basketball is some of the, the best basketball you'll see at the women's level for sure. They are undefeated. They're playing great. South Carolina's a great team. Indiana's really good in women's basketball this year. It'll be really interesting to see who wins in women's basketball as well. But South Carolina's definitely playing fantastic. With Duke swinging the ball around, trying to get a feel for Tennessee's defense, Tyrese Proctor at the top of the key, 5 seconds on the shot clock. He steps back for a three, and it's blocked by Tennessee. Vescovi with the rebound. He's bringing it up the floor. Really experienced guard for the Volunteers, solid player. Josiah Jordan-James in the corner for Tennessee for three. He misses. But Tennessee with the rebound. Jonas Aidoo gets the board. Olivier Nakuma on the block. He kicks it to Vescovi. Tennessee is passing the ball really well earlier, but they're struggling to shoot. Nakuma for two, so it's 8-7. That's a nice turnaround for Olivier Nakuma. He's had a solid season. He has 4 quick points. 15:30 to go in the first, and Duke's up by 1. You definitely see that both teams are playing high-level basketball early. Both teams are ready for this game. This is a high-level round of 32 game for sure. Jeremy Roach is driving in, and he gets the ball stripped. I don't know if they called a foul or not on Jeremy Roach to try to get the ball back. They might have, because he's talking to the referee, but that was really good defense by Tennessee. Easy Money says one of our losses was to old Rocky Flop in Knoxville. They got lucky. Volunteers, well, their mascot is Smokey. Every dog has his day. Well, I mean, overall, you look at Tennessee women's and men's, they're both solid. I think that the men's team, again, gets a bad rap because of the fact they've lost so early in March Madness so many times under Rick Barnes, and the fact that they have struggled in the SEC to consistently get big wins. I think that Kentucky loss at home really hurt Tennessee. Tennessee was at the top of the SEC along with Alabama, and then they lost to Kentucky on their own floor when the Wildcats were unranked. That was a tough loss. And I think that really turned a lot of people off toward Tennessee. But every single season, Tennessee starts the year, a lot of people thinking they're a potential Final Four team. Dick Vitale has had Tennessee as his preseason Final Four, pick, along with 3 other teams for a lot of seasons, and then they lose early. It just makes you lose faith in them. A lot of people stop believing in Tennessee the more times that they do that. I think that's been one of the biggest problems for Tennessee the last few seasons, and Rick Barnes as a whole, because that's the reason he got fired from Texas. Is Texas, like, you have these great teams. We have great teams year in, year out. We make the tournament. We're a high seed, but then you lose in the round of 32. And I think that, overall, if Rick Barnes wants to be a Hall of Fame coach, he's going to have to make some Sweet 16s or Elite 8s to end his coaching career, because so far he hasn't done that. He's really struggled to advance. He's had some great teams at Texas. He's had some great teams at Tennessee, but they always lose earlier than they should in the tournament. And yes, the tournament is a lot of luck. It is a lot of luck. There's so many good teams. Everybody's playing hard. It's a single elimination tournament. One bad game and you lose. Some of the best teams we've ever seen in college basketball, the teams lost early. So it happens. But when you're a coach like Rick Barnes, who's been coaching basketball for 20, 30 years, and it's just a consistent theme, it becomes a point where it's not luck. It's just something's not there. Something's wrong. I don't know if it's just bad luck overall year in and year out, but sometimes you just eventually have to win. And this would be a big game for Tennessee to win this one, to help out Rick Barnes for sure. Easy Money, he says, I can't spell former Coach K last name. I'll just say Coach Go. That's good enough. For the girl I go. I completely agree. Just tell him, overall, Coach K, he is one of the best head coaches of all time. He had a great career at Duke. When he took over at Duke, his first 4 seasons of being the Blue Devils head basketball coach, he had losing seasons. And that speaks to the patience that teams had back in the past. You had losing seasons to start your career and you didn't get fired. What if Coach K was starting out today at Duke and had 4 losing seasons? He'd be fired. We would have never known how good he was, but he was at Duke. He had 4 losing seasons to start out his coaching career at Duke, and then eventually he turned it around, and Duke was a powerhouse for the 80s and 90s onward most years. And I think that just speaks to, the growth and, building of a team over time. And Coach K did that, and it was awesome to see. Dariq Whitehead just scored on an inbounds pass, 10-7 Duke, 15 to go in the first. Vescovi's in the paint. He kicks it to Jonas Aidoo. He almost loses the basketball, but he recovers. And he misses, but he does get fouled from behind by Derek Lively. So it's still 10-7 Duke, 14:56 to go in the first. But Jonas Aidoo will be shooting free throws. That could potentially help the Volunteers cut this 3-point deficit. Tennessee's going to have to hit their free throws if they want to win this one. In Tennessee, they hit the first, so it's 10-8. But free throws are key. When Tennessee gets the opportunities at the foul line, they're going to have to hit their free throws to be able to hang with the Duke Blue Devils. I think Vescovi's going to have to hit a lot of shots in this game if they want to have a chance. But Adu with the second free throw. And he knocks them both down. So it's 10-9 Duke, 14:50 to go in the first. Definitely the Volunteers are hanging with the Blue Devils so far. Thanks for being here, Jeff. He says, I'm here. I made it. How's it going? It's definitely been a close game so far. It's 10-9 Duke, 14:40 to go in the first. Dariq Whitehead at the top of the key, shoots a step back three. It's a little short, but Tennessee with the rebound. Toby Awaka, he gets the board. Tennessee has tried to develop their depth this season. Gotten some contributions from several players. They do not have the depth overall that Duke has. Tyreek Key swings it to Toby Awaka. He shoots a fadeaway too, and he is short. With Jonas Adu with the rebound. Kicks it to Vescovi. Vescovi's driving, and they call an offensive foul on Vescovi. Tyrese Proctor, he got hit in the face, I think, on the drive. He sold the contact, but Vescovi picks up that foul. Easy Money says, I like Duke, always have, because they've been winning Blue Blood program by Coach K, but I'm hoping the SEC teams go far in this tournament, even old Rocky Flop, but if they lose, I won't be upset. Well, I mean, again, it definitely depends on, who a person wants to win. A lot of people want Tennessee to win to finally say that, hey, Rick Barnes can get them far in the tournament, but a lot of people like the Blue Devils as well. They have a lot of talent. But it would definitely help out Rick Barnes and Tennessee and the SEC if they can win. But for Duke, it will show that Duke's still a really good powerhouse program, even without Coach K, if they can advance to the Sweet 16. They're tending to Kyle Filipowski right now. He's got a cut below his eye. That's a deep cut. Hopefully he's okay. He got hit down low, and Jonas Adu got the rebound. He got hit right in the face. He's got a big gash below his eye. That's terrible. Hopefully Filipowski will be okay, that he should be able to come back out and play, but that hurts. Definitely playing basketball, especially when you're a center. I mean, all those elbows down low, and one of them crashes right on your head. That is tough. That is tough sledding. Easy Money says, hey, Jeff, roll Tide roll. Are you ready to watch our Crimson Tide versus those Turtles tonight? I'm looking forward to it. Well, I mean, the Turtles are going to have to play a really good game if they want to beat Alabama. Maryland's going to have to play a grade A game. Give it everything they've got. I think that it's not impossible for Maryland to win, especially if you see Brandon Miller still banged up and he's not having a big game. And if Alabama's struggling to shoot the basketball, then there's a chance for Maryland. But if Alabama's talent and their physicality can get to Maryland, then I think it should be a fairly easy win for the Crimson Tide. That should be a good game. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure right now, but I might live stream that game tonight. It's definitely the game I'm potentially looking to live stream tonight after these afternoon games and evening games are over. But we got a big game right here between the Duke Blue Devils and the Tennessee Volunteers. They're looking at a potential flagrant foul. It's going to be really interesting to see what they decide here. I think they're looking at Santiago Vescovi's drive. But, man, Kyle Filipowski, he got hit hard by Jonas Adu. A lot of physicality between these two teams. Both teams really want this win. They did not call a flagrant foul, but it is Duke basketball after they called the common foul on Santiago Vescovi on the drive. Proctor, he looks to be okay. But Kyle Filipowski with a deep gash below his eye, that's really tough for him. But Tyrese Proctor with the basketball for the Duke Blue Devils, 14 to go in the first half. And they call an offensive foul on Duke on a screen, I think on Ryan Young, the Northwestern transfer who's just entered the game. Easy Money says, I like Duke better, but I'm a conference homer as well. Well, I mean, a lot of people are like that. It's kind of like some people, if you're in the Big Ten, if you're a Big Ten fan of a team like Wisconsin or Michigan State, you're kind of pulling for the Big Ten teams to advance to make the conference look better for sure. So you being an Alabama fan, you kind of want Tennessee to win, but you like Duke as well. So it is tough. But either way, it's not the worst thing in the world. Either way you go, Kind of happy. Santiago Vescovi with one foul, trying not to pick up a second, but he's trying to drive. Tennessee swinging the ball around. Julian Phillips with the basketball. He's a talented freshman. He's had an up-and-down season. Josiah Jordan-James with the turnaround, and Tennessee takes the lead, 11-10 Tennessee. 13:30 to go in the first. Really nice shot by Josiah Jordan-James. Both teams are 4 of 8 from the field. Solid basketball from both squads so far. Ryan Young at the top of the key. He's trying to find a teammate to pass the ball to. Good defense by Tennessee, denying the pass. But Jeremy Roach with a tough shot, and he misses. Vescovi's coming down the floor for the Volunteers. And he passes to Julian Phillips for the slam, the alley-oop, 13-10 Tennessee. Really nice play by Vescovi. He waited for Julian Phillips to go down the floor, and he passed it to him at the right time, and they got the slam dunk, 13-10. Duke has not scored in the last 2.5 minutes. It's been some solid defense from Tennessee. But Jeremy Roach driving the basketball. He misses a shot. In Tennessee, they throw it off at Duke, but Tennessee might have been out of bounds. But what a pass by Vescovi to Julian Phillips. Dave Valensky says Bama's favored by 9 against Maryland. I'm not surprised at that at all. Alabama's a really good team, being a 1 seed going up against the 8. That sounds about right. Being favored by 9. If they play a high-level game, I definitely see them winning by that much, if not more. But Maryland, if they play really good basketball, maybe they can keep it close or maybe spring the upset. We've seen a lot of upsets so far, so you never know. With Duke, they have to call a timeout. They cannot inbound the basketball. Tennessee playing really good defense in this game, and that's how the Volunteers are going to win. They're going to have to play high-level defense in this game if they want to spring the upset over the Blue Devils. And they're doing that so far. Jeff says, great game so far. 100% agree. The teams are going back and forth. But Tennessee right now with a 3-point lead over Duke, 13-10. Right now, I think Tennessee's style of play is definitely winning out right now. I think Duke, early on, they were starting to run the floor. Got a couple of good shots off of transition buckets against Tennessee when the Volunteers were turning it over. But now Tennessee's starting to settle into this game. Their defense is starting to play well. And that's definitely starting to rattle Duke a little bit. The ACC was a physical conference this year, I think, but there wasn't as many good teams that there usually are. And I think Tennessee, going through the grind of the SEC, their physicality is definitely showing up, and they're showing right now on the TV both of the teams' physical play. Players are getting hurt. There's so much physicality in this game. With Duke, they finally inbound the basketball, but they turn it over. And Tennessee threw it down the floor, but Filipowski steals it back. So Tennessee, they got the steal, but then they turn it over. It's going to be really interesting to see how Duke handles the Tennessee defense right now. They're really struggling to pass the basketball. If Tennessee keeps up this high-level play on the defensive side of the ball, they will have a chance to beat Duke. But Duke trying to settle in. Jacob Grandison with the ball, the Illinois transfer. Filipowski trying to drive in. Like there could have been a charge or a flop depending on what the refs call, but they didn't call anything. But it goes off of Duke, and Tennessee has the basketball. Another turnover for the Blue Devils. Players are going to the floor, bodies everywhere. There is so much contact right now in this game. Tyreek Key at the top of the key for the Volunteers. And he misses a floater. Derek Lively with the rebound. He's a really good rebounder. Duke trying to run the floor. Filipowski's trying to drive. He can't get it to a guard, but he does get it to Jeremy Roach. Great defense from Tennessee. Tyrese Proctor trying to survey, but the Volunteers are playing great defense. He's trying to drive. He kicks it to Grandison. And Jacob Grandison, he gets blocked. And there's 1 second on the shot clock. The ball's going back to Duke, but what great defense from Tennessee. 13-10 Volunteers. Easy Money says, Dave, thumbs up. I thought it was 8.5, but they'll win by double digits anyway, I think. It probably was 8.5, but a lot of people are betting on Alabama to win by more, so that's why the line's going up. Kind of like you would see like Indiana, Kent State. Indiana was favored by like 6 points against Kent State, but the line went down to like 4 at the tip because a lot of people thought Kent State would win, but Indiana ended up winning by 11. So the lines definitely moved depending on what people were thinking. But I definitely could see Alabama winning by double digits if they play a really good game. They played great against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. But Alabama's been a really solid team this year. But if they can get Brandon Miller to a relative healthy point, he's starting to put up a lot of points again, and he can get healthy. Hopefully for him, his growing injury will go away, start to heal. But if he's playing at a high level along with the rest of their team, they are dangerous. Easy Money said, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see between the Big Ten and the SEC who has the most teams last. Both sent 8 each. My Crimson Tide will go the distance. I think that overall, the Big Ten, a lot of people were looking for Purdue to go far. I remember seeing Kenny Smith. He had Purdue going to his Final Four, and he had Indiana getting upset to Kent State. He had Arizona going to the Final Four as well. But if the Big Ten is going to have a team advance, it could be Indiana. I think that potentially they're the best chance from the Big Ten. If they can get by Miami in the second round tomorrow, they could go to the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. But I will agree with the Easy Money. Alabama has the best chance of both conferences to go far with the way the bracket is, setting up for them in that region. A lot of the best teams are losing, and Alabama's playing really well. But if they keep playing at a high level, I definitely could see Alabama going the distance, at least to the Elite Eight or to the Final Four. The Big Ten definitely doesn't have as many teams. I think they could go as far, but still the Big Ten has done a better job than they did in the last couple seasons where most of the teams lost early. At least they're getting teams to advance. It might not be Purdue, but they got Michigan State to advance, Indiana, Maryland. So definitely having some teams advance. That's a good look for the conference. Clint Moses says, go Beefs. Thanks for being here, Clint. Stinks that Oregon State's not in the tournament or the NIT, but maybe they can get back there eventually. We got a great game between Duke and Tennessee, 13-10 Volunteers. Tennessee style of play is definitely giving Duke fits right now. They're doing a great job on the defensive end. And I think that if Tennessee is going to win this game, they're going to have to find a way to keep up this level of play for 40 minutes, which is possible. It's all about belief. It's all about want. They're interviewing Rick Barnes right now. He should be happy with his team's play right now. He definitely wants his Volunteers to play physical. And they are definitely a capable team. They have a lot of bodies. Zakai Ziegler's out at point, which really hurts their offense. But if they play great defense, then they'll have a chance. But Filipowski misses a 2 with 1 second on the shot clock. Duke gets the offensive rebound, and Jeremy Roach hits a 3 in the corner. Duke ties the game up. That's definitely not what you want to see if you're Tennessee. You've got to get the rebound. You can't give Duke second chance opportunities. But what a shot by Jeremy Roach. He's really shooting the basketball better this year. He's definitely improved his three-point shot. But we have a tie game, 13-13, 11 to go in the first. Tennessee trying to back down. Tennessee with a long 2, and they missed the shot. And Duke with the rebound. Derek Lively with another board. He's so tough to rebound on. Great offensive and defensive rebounder. But Dariq Whitehead, he has the basketball for the Blue Devils. He's been injured a lot this season, but when healthy, he's been really solid. But he draws a foul on Tennessee. But a tie game, 13-13, 10:39 to go in the first half. Not a lot of offense. It's definitely been a lower scoring game so far. A lot of physicality. Refs are letting them play. Tennessee has 4 fouls. Duke has 2 fouls so far in this first half. With Tyrese Proctor to inbound for the Blue Devils. 10:39 to go in the first. 20 seconds on the shot clock. Duke's led by 4 so far in this game, and Tennessee's led by 3. It's the biggest leads. Both teams going back and forth. Tennessee playing great defense. Proctor for 2, and he has a step back, but he misses it short. Lively tried to get the board. And I think they do call a foul on Tennessee. Lively is so tough to rebound on the offensive and defensive side of the ball because it looked like Tennessee had the rebound, but he just kept fighting on the glass, and he got the board and gives Duke yet another opportunity, which is going to be tough for Tennessee. It's going to wear them down if they keep having to play more defensive possessions. So Duke's doing a great job on the offensive glass getting rebounds. But Duke struggling to get the ball in bounds. And I think they might have called a 5-second violation. So Tennessee has the basketball. John Shire's getting frustrated. But Duke already with 6 turnovers in this game, less than 10 minutes in. 0 points for the Volunteers in the last 2 minutes and 40 seconds, but they're still tied. 13-13. Josiah Jordan-James with the basketball for the Volunteers. He kicks it to Olivier Nakuma. He gets the ball back, but he misses a 3. Josiah Jordan-James, it rimmed in and out. So Duke with the basketball with a chance to take the lead again. Proctor's driving in. The ball gets deflected. Almost a turnover, but it goes off of Tennessee. So it's still Duke basketball, 9:54 to go. Easy Money says Tennessee playing physical right now, for sure. They're doing a great job on the defensive side of the ball. They're going to have to keep it up, though. But Tennessee bringing Uris Plavik back in the game with 2 fouls, that's an interesting decision. Tennessee's center depth is a bit thin, but you definitely, if you're a Volunteers fan, do not want Uris Plavik to pick up his 3rd foul, which at the rate of the physicality in this game, he definitely could. But Filipowski, he drives in and he gets a foul on Olivier Nakuma, the 6th foul on the Volunteers. He doesn't like the foul call. But he definitely bumped Filipowski. But Olivier Nakuma, he has 2 fouls for Tennessee. So foul trouble starting to rack up for the Volunteers. That could become a problem later in this game, especially when it goes down to the wire. And if a couple of Tennessee players foul out, that could give the advantage to Duke. But Kyle Filipowski averaging 15 points and 9 rebounds this season as a freshman. He's been fantastic for Duke, especially when a lot of people didn't think that he would be the best freshman for Duke this year. He has stepped up to the occasion, and he's been a fantastic player. But he does miss the first free throw. He has another free throw coming up to take the lead potentially for Duke, and he knocks it down. So it's 14-13 Duke, 9:46 to go in the first. Volunteers have gone cold on the offensive end. They have not scored in over 3 minutes. Tennessee probably needs to find a way to get Vescovi a good look. Vescovi's driving in. They're swinging it around. It gets back in Vescovi's hands, and he shoots a 3, and he misses. Tough shot. But Tennessee with the offensive rebound. Toby Awaka gets it back to Vescovi. To Josiah Jordan-James. He's driving in with a tough 2. And a missed shot. I think Duke altered the shot. Duke has the basketball up 1. Tennessee definitely does struggle on the offensive end, which is why it will be tough for them to win. They struggle to score at times. Filipowski fakes a 3, kicks it to Dariq Whitehead. And Dariq Whitehead for 3, 17-13 Duke. The Blue Devils are on a 7-0 run. Rick Barnes might need a timeout soon. Duke's hit 4 threes. Tennessee's only hit 1. Tennessee swinging the ball around. Tennessee held scoreless for almost 4 minutes. Where's the offense going to come from? Vescovi's coming off a ball screen. He's driving in, and he does a floater, and he misses the shot, and it is off Tennessee. So Duke basketball, and they're up 4. The tide is turning in this one. Dave Valensky says, I'm a Big Ten homer, but if Wisconsin loses or Iowa, it doesn't hurt as much. Go Gophers. Well, yeah, for sure, because they're rivals. Minnesota, your rivals with Iowa and Wisconsin. So it definitely doesn't matter. But Wisconsin, they're not in the tournament. You're in the NIT, and Iowa already lost, so you're probably happy there. But overall, the Big Ten has done solid so far, but it will be interesting to see how far a team can go from the Big Ten. Filipowski driving in, and he scores again for Duke. 19-13. Filipowski's becoming a problem for the Volunteers. He's so good at driving the basketball. But Tennessee's offense has fallen asleep. They have not scored in over 4 minutes. 7:50 to go in the first. Vescovi for 3, and he knocks a 3 in. Big shot for Tennessee. Vescovi at the top of the key with a big swish. The Blue Devils lead down to 3. But a huge shot for the Volunteers. Duke 7 of 16 from the field. Tennessee 6 of 16. Fairly even. But Tennessee still playing good defense, trying to apply pressure, but they're struggling to guard Filipowski. Filipowski for 3. He misses. Tennessee with the board. They almost lose it out of bounds, but they do get the basketball saved by Vescovi. Josiah Jordan James is bringing the ball up the floor. Will Vescovi look for another shot? I think there might have been a timeout called, potentially. I'm not 100% sure, but under 7, 30 to go in this one, 7:24 left in the first. And Duke with a 19-16 lead. Back and forth first half. Tennessee had a lead at one point, but Duke is definitely starting to assert themselves. Easy Money says, laughing out loud, Dave, I'm a lifelong diehard Bama fan, but pull for all SEC teams versus non-conference opponents. I'm an SEC homer. There's a lot of people that definitely love the SEC, especially in the South, but there's people that love all the conferences. Bill Walton's a Pac-12 homer for sure. He wanted Washington State and Colorado to make the tournament. Just didn't happen. Not surprisingly. Definitely. Some people are just sports fans in general. I mean, I'm definitely in ACC country where I live, but I definitely like the ACC, the Big Ten, the SEC, but I like all the conferences. It's just very funny to see how people that live in different parts of the country and who they root for, how they feel about other conferences. Easy Money says Big Ten's Mount Olympus has fallen. Well, again, depending on what people believe, a lot of people did not think Purdue was legit. Now, for people that thought Purdue was legit, it's definitely a massive loss for the Big Ten, but I think a lot of people thought Purdue would lose early. Just a lot of people thought they lose in the second round to Memphis or Florida Atlantic, not Fairleigh Dickinson. But Purdue's style of play is definitely interesting. They really struggle in March Madness with their style of play. Easy Money says Brandon Miller won't be held scoreless tonight, but I think Nate Oates should limit his playing time, especially if we're maintaining a lead. That's the key. It's almost like when a player's in foul trouble and you're winning the game, you don't need your star player who's in foul trouble to be in the game if you're winning. But if you're starting to fall behind, you're down 5, 6, 7 points, and you're starting to lose your grip on the game, you have to bring him back in, regardless. Kind of like last night, Indiana was playing Kent State, and Jalen Hood-Schifino picked up 2 fouls for Indiana in the first half, but Indiana maintained the lead, so he left them out. Mike Woodson never brought him back in. But if Indiana had started to lose that game, then you would have had to bring Jalen Hood-Schifino back in. So if Alabama, as long as they're beating Maryland and they have a comfortable lead, rest Brandon Miller. That's smart. But if Alabama's losing or is in a struggle fest with the Terps, then I think that bringing in Brandon Miller, even though he is hurt, might be mandatory. But I do agree with you. If Alabama's winning, he should limit his playing time. Jeff says, wow, Tennessee is playing tough for sure, but Duke is definitely starting to blow it open a little bit. But Tennessee is trying to hang around. I think Tennessee has done a really good job at times of hanging around, but they've taken some shots that they should have made. And that's been the biggest issue for Tennessee all season. Their offense just can fall asleep. Sometimes they just cannot score. And the only person on the team that can even get a bucket is Santiago Vescovi. And when that happens, it's a lot easier for defenses to key in on Vescovi. So it makes Tennessee a very, bad offensive team because they only have one player that can get buckets, and you could slow down that one player. Then Tennessee's offense can just completely disappear. Duke's a more balanced team. They have a lot more players that can get a bucket. And I think that definitely makes Duke much more dangerous. Easy Money said, yep, Jeff, lots of time, though, but Rocky Flop is playing a physical game, too. They better watch fouls for sure, and they are picking up some fouls in this one. Juris Plavic and Olivier Nakuma both have 2 fouls. But Vescovi trying to shoot a 3. He has to fake because of the defense of Roach, and he misses a 2, but they do call a foul on Jeremy Roach. So Vescovi will have 2 free throws. Jeff says, I agree. Easy Money with the thumbs up. Easy Money says, Dave, yeah, I'm the same with the SEC Volt, Rocky Flop, and especially Auburn. If they lose, it doesn't hurt as much, but I love my Crimson Tide and pull for all SEC team for non-conference opponents. I mean, I completely agree. I think that even though you like one team better than the others from that conference, you should root for the other teams. I agree. Unless somebody just cannot stand every other team. That's just someone's mindset. Everyone's different. That's what makes sports so cool, is to get everyone's varying opinions on similar topics. It's definitely one of the coolest things out there. But Vescovi, pretty good free throw shooter for Tennessee. Shoots it at a good rate, and he hits both free throws. So it's 19-18 Duke. Tennessee, to their credit, is hanging around. 6:50 to go in the first. Fairly low-scoring first half. But Jeremy Roach with the basketball at the top of the key. He's hit a couple big threes for Duke in this one. He swings it to Jacob Grandison, the Illinois transfer. He's been quiet. Down to Filipowski, and a steal from behind by Santiago Vescovi. Tennessee's going down the floor. Vescovi with the fake on the three. He kicks it to Plavic. Vescovi's still faking threes. He's trying to get open. Down to Plavic. What a block by Derek Lively from behind on Plavic. That was a fantastic block, definitely showing the athleticism and talent of Derek Lively. Dariq Whitehead for two. He misses, but they do call a foul. Might have got hit on the arm. That's the 7th foul on Tennessee. Easy Money says, there goes the Duke boys. Duke is starting to play better on offense and defense, even though Tennessee is hanging around in this one. But there's 6:10 to go in the first half, and Dariq Whitehead, he's at the free throw line for 2 free throws, and he misses the first. I think free throws will be key in this game, especially if it's a close game that goes down the wire. Got to make your free throws. If you're not hitting your free throws, you could definitely lose a close game because you can look at which team shot better, and that could sometimes be the difference. But Dariq Whitehead with a good start to this game. He's got 8 points, but he has another free throw. And he misses both free throws. So Tennessee still down 1 with a chance to retake the lead. But where's the offense going to come from for the Volunteers outside of Vescovi? They're really struggling to get some other players involved on the offensive end. They stop play. I think they call a foul on Duke underneath. Might have been on Roach, preventing Vescovi from coming out to the three-point line. And Roach's 2 fouls. That's the first player for Duke in foul trouble. Clint Moses with some nice nicknames for some of the Duke players. But Tennessee with the basketball. Josiah Jordan James at the top of the key. Back to Vescovi. And Vescovi shoots a deep 3, and he misses. I just don't think that's sustainable offense for Tennessee. I think they're going to have to find a way to get Vescovi some easier looks. But some other players are going to have to get involved on the offensive end. But they call a travel on Jeremy Roach. So another turnover for Duke. Duke has turned the basketball over a decent amount in this first half. Yeah, he slipped. Took about 3 or 4 steps. So Tennessee down 1, 5:30 to go in the first half. Duke has 8 turnovers and 7 field goals made. Tennessee has 4 turnovers and 6 field goals made. And Tyreek Key misses a jump shot on the baseline. That was a really good look for Tyreek Key, but he misses the shot. Again, going to show that yet again that Tennessee does struggle on the offensive end sometimes. Filipowski with the basketball. He kicks it to Lively. And Duke almost turned the basketball over. They do say that Tennessee deflected it, the refs. It was close, but not a very good pass by Derek Lively. But now Duke has it in Tyrese Proctor's hands, being guarded by Tyreek Key. Proctor's driving in. Proctor with a step back, and he hits the shot. 21-18 Duke. Nice shot by Proctor. 4:50 to go in the first half. Been a fast-moving first half. Vescovi kicks it out to Jonas Adu, and he hits a baseline jumper. Nice shot by Jonas Adu. 21-20. Tennessee's hanging around. But Duke with a 1-point lead. Dariq Whitehead for 3. And he misses the shot. Not a very good attempt by Dariq Whitehead. I think he probably should have tried to drive on that one. But sometimes when you are feeling it early from outside, you want to keep shooting them. And he has it a couple threes. That was a deep shot. Probably not the best attempt. But Tennessee airballs a 3. But the Volunteers pick the ball up down low. Josiah Jordan James kicks it to Vescovi. But 4 minutes to go in the first half. Tennessee down 1. Volunteers with the basketball. And they call a foul on Duke. the sixth foul on the Blue Devils. They knocked down Jonas Aidoo. Easy Money says, yeah, I thought Purdue was overrated, but didn't think a 16 seed FDU would take them down. Personally, I think Penn State is playing the best for the Big Ten. Yeah, I completely agree with Penn State. I do think, though, it will be interesting to see with Penn State how they play against Texas. Because if Penn State is hitting the shots that they were in round one against Texas A&M and in the Big Ten tournament against Indiana, then Penn State has a great chance to beat Texas. But it's going to come down to whether Penn State's still able to hit threes on a consistent basis. Because they're a team that at times cannot shoot the basketball. When they get cold from three, they really struggle to score. But Andrew Funk had a big game against Texas A&M. Seth Lundy had a big game, and Jalen Pickett was passing the ball really well and getting in the post. But I do think that Penn State, at their best, is one of the best teams in the Big Ten this year. But it's about consistency. You look at Arizona State. They hit all those threes against Nevada in the first four game. But then they played TCU, and yes, they almost won. They only lost by 2. They played a pretty good game, but they were not hitting as many shots as they did against Nevada, and they lost. So I think that if Penn State is going to be a team that goes the farthest out of the Big Ten in the tournament, they're going to have to hit a lot of threes against Texas. But it can be done because they are playing really well. I think Indiana is one of the best teams in the Big Ten as well. I think Trace Jackson-Davis and Jalen Hood-Schifino is a great 1-2 punch. I think if they can get more contributions from the rotational players, then they could go far. Michigan State, it's Tom Izzo. Tom Izzo, one of the top head coaches in college basketball. He's been at one school for so long, and he's gotten the Spartans to so many NCAA tournaments that I think that Michigan State's definitely not a team to overlook. But I would say Penn State, Michigan State, and Indiana have a really good chance. Easy Money says, GG going. Dave Valensky says, Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue because they watched the game footage on teams they were able to beat Purdue. When you take the big guy out and make them shoot threes, they're going to lose every time. Completely agree. I mean, the biggest issue Purdue's had all season is they haven't even been a great three-point shooting team at times, which is insane considering the fact that with Zach Edey and the amount of attention he gets down low, double and triple teams, their guards get great looks from three. Sometimes I think they're just so open they miss. I mean, Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, Mason Gillis, Ethan Morton got some great looks in that game. And you saw toward the end of that game, they didn't want to take a three. They had so many good open looks. Fairleigh Dickinson was begging them to shoot the basketball, and they didn't want to shoot. And the commentators were like, look, they don't even want to shoot. They were so afraid to shoot at the end of that game. And then they were taking tough twos, and they were missing. And really all they had was Zach Edey getting the basketball and going to the foul line. Because Purdue shot a lot more free throws than Fairleigh Dickinson, which is a big reason Purdue won a lot of games this year because they shot more free throws than any other team in college basketball this season. North Carolina was the second most team. But Purdue, they shot a lot of free throws in Big Ten play, and that helped them win a lot of games. But you still have to shoot threes and make shots if you want to win. And they just did not do that against Fairleigh Dickinson. Tennessee misses a shot. Julian Phillips missed, but Jonas Aidoo to clean it up, and the Volunteers have retaken the lead. So Tennessee has struggled so much on the offensive end, but they've hung around and they've retaken the lead against Duke. They're up 22-21 with 3:40 to go. Filipowski's driving in. He misses a shot, and Tennessee with the rebound, up one. Vescovy driving down the floor. Tennessee with a 1-point lead, 22-21 over Duke. Tyreek Key with the basketball for Tennessee. Kicks it out. Josiah Jordan-James with a tough two, and he misses. And Derek Lively with another rebound. He's trending toward double-digit rebounds in this game. Derek Lively is a force down low. But Jeremy Roach with the ball at the top of the key. He kicks it to Kyle Filipowski for three, and Filipowski misses again, and Julian Phillips with the board, and he gets the ball to Vescovy. Tennessee still up one, 22-21, 2:40 to go in the first. Josiah Jordan-James getting inside, kicks it to Jonas Aidoo for the mid-range jumper, and he misses this time. Filipowski with the rebound. Both teams are cold from the offensive end. Really low-scoring game. But we're under 2:30 to go in the first half, and it's 22-21 Tennessee. Tyrese Proctor at the top of the key for the Blue Devils. He's driving in. He kicks it in the corner to Jacob Grandison. Grandison misses a three. And Vescovy with the rebound, and he's driving down the floor for Tennessee. He swings it to Josiah Jordan James. Duke's 4 of 11 from three. Tennessee's 2 of 7. So Duke's shooting a little bit better from three. Vescovy, he fakes a three. He kicks it to Jonas Adu. And Adu with the reverse, but Derek Lively with the defense. And he forces a miss, and Duke's driving down the floor. Tyrese Proctor. He kicks it to Jeremy Roach. And they call an offensive foul on Derek Lively, an illegal screen, so Tennessee will be getting the basketball back. Easy Money says, yep, Dave, smart defense for FDU. They shoot good too. Had no idea about them. They deserve that win. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people did. I mean, they were a team that was ranked 309th or something like that in KenPom. I know they were a 300-plus team. UMBC, when they beat Virginia, was 187. So for sure, not a lot of people knew about FDU. They were the shortest team in Division I. Their average height was 6'3", and their tallest player was 6'6". So it's completely insane, but that's definitely how Purdue's lost against short teams like St. Peter's and FDU. So I wonder if Matt Painter will ever change up his style if he wants to advance in the tournament. Tyreek Key for three for Tennessee. He knocks it down. Tennessee up 4. The Volunteers are up 25-21 on Duke with 1:10 to go in the first. You can't ask for a much better first half for Tennessee. They've been playing great defense. They've held Duke to a really low-scoring first half. The Volunteers are on a 12-2 run in the last 7 minutes. Duke's only scored 2 points in the last 7 minutes, and they just call an offensive foul on Jeremy Roach. That might be his 3rd foul. Derek Lively has 2 fouls as well. Duke's starting to get in foul trouble. Dave Valensky says Fairleigh Dickinson beat Purdue. Completely agree. You beat Purdue when you do that. I 100% agree. You just have to find a way to outrun Purdue. They don't have the fastest team. A lot of their players are slow. Big Ten teams just did not find a way to beat Purdue because of the fact sometimes when you're going up against the same team, and even though you should be able to figure them out, sometimes it makes it hard to win. And Purdue was able to get a lot of wins in the Big Ten this year, but when they play out of conference, they really struggle because teams give everything they've got. They go up against Zach Edey, and they're fearless. Easy Money says that Purdue center is long. 100% agree. But now Tennessee, they called an illegal screen on them. Toby Awaka, he has 2 fouls, so both teams are in foul trouble. But Tennessee, with a blocked shot, so another turnover for Duke. Vescovy, he's dribbling around. There's 30 seconds left in this first half, and Tennessee is up 25-21. If Tennessee can get another score, that would really help out their momentum for the second half. Vescovy thought about a 3. 7 seconds on the shot clock. He shoots a 40-foot 3, but he misses it. And the ball, they call it off Duke. 13 seconds left in the first half. So Tennessee will get another chance. Probably not a really good shot from Vescovy. He shot about a 40-foot 3. He has hit a couple threes in this first half, but still, probably not a great shot. But Tyreek Key in the corner, he misses a 3. Vescovy with the offensive rebound. There's 9 seconds left. Tennessee with a chance for another score. Jonas Adu off Vescovy's pass, and Tennessee scores again. It's 27-21 Tennessee at the half. Tennessee played fantastic defense on the Blue Devils. Duke's really struggling on the offensive end. They only scored 2 points in the last 7.5 minutes of the whole entire first half. And Tennessee takes a 6-point lead at the half. Not a lot of people were expecting this. The Volunteers are playing really good on the defensive end. Their offense came to life at points. Jeff says really low-scoring game so far. Definitely a lot more low-scoring than I thought it was going to be. I knew Tennessee was going to try to slow the game down, make it a lower-scoring game, just like Virginia usually does. But I didn't think with Duke's talent, and even though they are a young team, they do have some experience with Ryan Young and Jacob Grandison. and even Jeremy Roach, I thought that they would be able to handle the defense and they'd still be able to put up a lot of points in this game potentially. But this has been a really low-scoring game, and if Tennessee could do this for another 20 minutes, if they can find a way to not get in foul trouble and play 20 more minutes of great defense, they could win. Easy Money says, I hope Maryland watched the game film Miller in the Texas A&M Corpus Christi game and decides Brandon Miller isn't a factor. 11 on 9 chance they'll overlook Brandon Miller. Well, I mean, you look at Maryland, the only way they're going to have a chance to beat Alabama is if they play a fantastic game. They're going to have to shoot a lot of threes, make a lot of threes. They're going to have to not foul Alabama, especially if Brandon Miller is more healthy, because when he's driving in the lane, he gets to the foul line. I think overall, you look at Maryland, they're a team that they have talent and they have some shooters. And they had some games in the Big Ten this season where they really shot the basketball well. But it's going to be one of those things. Can you do that against a team with the depth and the experience and the physicality of Alabama? That's going to be interesting. Because I do think overall, Maryland is a team that is capable of beating a really good team. But I think Alabama might have too much for them. And if they do overlook Brandon Miller, which overall I do think Brandon Miller might have somewhat of a bounce back game. I don't know if he's going to be able to put up a lot of points because of the fact that he has an injury right now, but he's probably not going to be held scoreless. But if Mark Sears is hitting shots, Javon Quinterly, and Charles Bediako is in the post getting a lot of rebounds, and I think there's a really good chance that Alabama could have a pretty good game in this one, find a way to win by double digits. But Dante Scott for Maryland, Jameer Young, they're going to have big games, Julian Reese as well. And if they can do that, I think Maryland has a chance because they had a good season this year. Kevin Willard, the former Seton Hall coach, he's had a lot of success as a head coach. And I think he overperformed a lot of expectations for what people have for Maryland in year one. He was not supposed to take Maryland to the tournament. I think a lot of people thought Maryland would be a team that could potentially, be in a 500 team in the Big Ten, potentially be an NIT team and maybe an NCAA tournament team. But I don't think a lot of people thought that Maryland would be an 8 seed in the tournament, win a game in the tournament, have an above 500 record in conference play. So Kevin Willard did a great job. And Jameer Young, the Charlotte transfer, has been fantastic. He was all Big Ten second team. He's averaging 17 points per game, having a lot of assists. So I think that overall, you look at Maryland, they are a team with talent. They play opportunistic basketball, and a lot of people pick West Virginia to beat Maryland because of Bob Huggins having a lot more experience than Kevin Willard. I think it was really huge for Maryland to get that win to give them some confidence. So Alabama will have to bring their A game. They can't just sleepwalk their way to a win. But I will say overall, again, Alabama's more talented. If Brandon Miller is back somewhat to his old self, then they'll have a really good chance to win. Easy Money says, Dave, that's a good strategy. It works. That's funny. Dave Valensky says, don't sleep on Northwestern. If they're playing their game, UCLA's in trouble. I agree with you. Northwestern's a team as well that the kind of season that they had this year definitely saved Chris Collins' job. You look at Chris Collins, he's been at Northwestern for almost a decade, and he took them to the NCAA tournament in 2017. Their first time ever making the NCAA tournament. So I think that overall, Northwestern is a program that's not used to being in the tournament. They are a team that does not have a lot of history. They're an academics-based school that has high GPA rate, so it's really tough to be a player for Northwestern. But I think that Northwestern overall, this was a season that if they had another bad year, I do think Chris Collins might have been fired because of the fact he had several losing seasons in a row, and that 2017 season seems so long ago. But I will say the way that Northwestern played this year, they lost Pete Nance to North Carolina. They lost Ron Young to Duke. They lost Miller Kopp to Indiana, and all in the transfer portal in the last 2 years. And Chris Collins was able to take Boo Buie, Chase Audige, get more consistency out of both those players because they were always pretty good. But this year they were both consistent. And their post play, they just got enough out of the post with their centers. And I think overall this season for Northwestern saved Chris Collins' job. It looks like he might be getting a contract extension as well. So if Northwestern plays a high-level basketball game, UCLA could lose. Now, they played great against UNC Asheville. UCLA did. They played fantastic. They slowed Drew Pember down, and they kept the Bulldogs at bay. A lot of people thought UNC Asheville could potentially beat UCLA, especially because of the fact you had Jalen Clark out for the season for UCLA. Adem Bone has been banged up. I think you look at UCLA as a whole entire team, and I think that when they lost to Arizona, especially the way Arizona played against Princeton, a lot of people probably are off UCLA's train because a lot of people are picking UCLA to go to the Final Four, but with their injuries and the way they've played at times this season, some people are off their train. But then the way they played against UNC Asheville, if they play like they did against UNC Asheville and they play like that against Northwestern, they will win. But will they be able to play like that? Will they be able to play the way they played against UNC Asheville against Northwestern? It will be interesting to see for sure. But I do think overall that if you look at that game, Northwestern could win. And the fact Northwestern could win goes to show you how good of a team they actually are. And I think that UCLA will have to bring their A game as well. But if they do, then I definitely think that they will beat Northwestern. But it should be a great game, though. Easy Money says, I think Arkansas will beat Kansas tonight. That could happen. I mean, you look at Kansas, prayers for Bill Self. It's really unfortunate for him. He's not going to be able to coach in this game. I don't know if that's going to affect Kansas because we saw how Kansas played in the Big 12 term. They had some good performances, but then they laid an egg against Texas. And then in the first round, Kansas leveled Howard, which, I mean, they did not do what Purdue did and let the smaller team hang around. But I think that if you look at Arkansas, they are a team with a lot of NBA talent. Nick Smith, he did not have a great game against Illinois, but he's a talented guard. He was injured most of the season. But when he's playing well, and he's playing like the top 5 to 10 potential NBA draft pick that he could potentially be, then I think Arkansas is dangerous. Anthony Black as well. He's a 6'7" point guard. He was a great passer, and he's been scoring the basketball more as the season's gone along. Arkansas has a lot of talent. They've got a lot of good players. Trevon Brazile, his injury was really bad for Arkansas. He's out for the season with a torn ACL, the Missouri transfer. But I do think Arkansas has enough talent. And if they play a high-level basketball game, they could beat Kansas, especially without Bill Self at head coach. We'll have to see if Kansas gets rattled. But I do think overall, if Kansas plays a really solid game, then there's a really good chance that they can get by Arkansas. But if Arkansas brings the energy and their potential top draft picks, and Nick Smith and Anthony Black play a great game, then there is a good chance Arkansas could win. That should be a fantastic game. I'm looking forward to watching that one. Jeff says Duke is so cold. If it's his third, they're messed up. Talking about with Jeremy Roach. I think it was his third foul. I'm not 100% sure because they didn't show it, but I think I saw that he had 2, and then he picked up another one, so he could have 3 fouls. But both teams are in foul trouble. It's because of the physicality of the game. The refs are going to call fouls. If you're being physical, and both teams are in Tennessee and Duke, they're calling fouls on both teams. And I think that overall, the team that gets in more foul trouble in the second half could lose. I mean, Tennessee has a 6-point lead, but all Duke has to do is go on a run. Duke is capable of going on a run. You look at the way Duke played against Virginia. They were losing at times in that game in the ACC tournament, but then Duke just turned it on at one point in the second half. And even though Duke never really went on a big run to completely take over the game, they got ahead by enough points, and then they just held on to the lead. So I think it's one of those things with Duke, as long as Duke can go on a run, take the lead against Tennessee, and maintain a 6 to 10 point lead over the Volunteers in the second half, once they take the lead, Duke will win. But if Tennessee can just keep the lead or keep the score around even, and it's a low-scoring game, it's really close down the stretch, and Duke gets in more foul trouble than Tennessee, then Tennessee could win. Easy Money says, oh, Rocky Flop turned it up. What a run. Halftime, Rocky Flop 27 for them, Duke 21. They play really good. I mean, this is what they had to do. Rick Barnes probably told Tennessee, his players, he told them, we're not as talented as Duke. We don't have as much offense as Duke does, but we have to play a fantastic defensive game. And if we do that, then we can win. And it's showing itself right here. The way they're playing on defense is going to give them a chance. I think overall, if you look at the way Duke's style of play is in the games that they won this year, there's going to come a point in this second half where I think Duke does go on a run. But it's going to be dependent on whether Tennessee can stop that run before Duke completely takes over the game. And if Tennessee can, then I think they could win. Aiden Tobin, he says, thanks for being here, Aiden. He says, check the ball, refs, DraftKings, account ASAP. But thanks for being here. Easy Money says, yeah, Bama has the depth too. Great bench play, best all-around team. They're really good on defense too, not just offense. They get most of those 50-50 balls. Just got to limit turnovers after making a good play on D. 100%. Alabama is definitely a team that they are turnover prone at times, and when they do turn the basketball over a lot, then they do have some problems on the offensive end. But they're definitely a team that if you look at their roster, the talent's there, so that's not an issue. They're usually the more talented team every single time they play. And if they're making threes, they're dangerous. But if they do turn the ball over a lot, then they have the potential to be beat. Easy Money says, even though Brandon Miller didn't score in the Texas A&M Corpus Christi game, it was a factor because he drew attention to him. That's the other key. It's kind of like a lot of people when they talk about a team like Indiana. Miller Kopp, the best three-point shooter on Indiana's team. Sometimes he barely ever scores at all, but the defenses are sticking to him. So even if he's not scoring the ball, the fact that you have to defend him because he's a great shooter opens up the driving lanes for Trey Galloway, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Trace Jackson Davis. So if you look at Brandon Miller, even if he's not scoring like you said, his presence on the floor is going to make one player on the other team have to defend him. So I completely agree. Easy Money says, my picks for the Power 5 conference teams left, the SEC Bama, of course, the Big Ten Penn State, the ACC Duke, the Big 12 Texas, and the Pac-12 UCLA. I guess basically what you're like you just said, the best of those Power 5s. You're meaning the teams that are going to go the furthest for sure. I think that could happen. If I had to pick between all those, I would say Alabama from the SEC, so I do agree with you. The ACC, Duke right now is losing, but I do think if Duke wins this game, then I agree Duke can go the farthest. I also think Miami has a shot as well if they can get by Indiana. The Big 12, I would either go Texas or Kansas. I think both of those are the best teams by far. Baylor's possible if they can beat Creighton, but I definitely like Texas and Kansas to go potentially the farthest. In the Pac-12, it's UCLA. That makes a lot of sense. It's UCLA. I mean, all the other ones are gone, so it has to be UCLA. There's no other option. But I do think if you look at the Big Ten, I think Indiana could go the farthest. I still think Indiana has the potential to go the farthest. Some people are picking Northwestern. Some people are picking Michigan State, but Indiana could go the farthest. It should be a lot of fun to see, though. Dave Valensky said in football, the Big Ten hates the SEC. In basketball, the Big Ten hates the ACC. In hockey, the Big Ten hates the Big Ten for ruining hockey. We dominate women's volleyball and softball. That's funny. I mean, I would say overall, if you look at the Big Ten, I mean, I don't know why they have to necessarily hate the ACC in basketball. I know a lot of people say the ACC is the best conference in basketball, but right now it's the Big 12. The Big 12 has been dominating in basketball. They have the last two national champions, and they're just playing great basketball as a whole. Now, the Big Ten and the SEC in football, I mean, that makes sense because they're battling out for TV contracts, getting new teams to join their conference. They're trying to be the biggest conference, have the biggest TV markets, the most money coming in overall. So that makes complete sense. I mean, I don't think they should be battling out. I wish conferences were the way they were back in the 90s. If they were, then I think that you would have a lot more, balance across the conferences. There would be no super conference. But since you have the Big Ten and the SEC taking over, per se, especially in football, it is what it is. You're going to have that bickering. But in basketball, I mean, all the conferences right now are, I wouldn't say they're even, but the Big East has some good teams. The ACC had a down year this year. The Big 12 was fantastic. The SEC's been pretty solid in basketball. The Big 10, they can't advance far in the tournament, but they have great regular seasons. So I think overall, if you look at all the conferences, they're fairly even. They're not exactly, though. Easy Money says, Dave, laughing out loud, the Big Ten can't get along with anyone. Well, I mean, it's the Big Ten. A lot of people don't even like the Big Ten because it's like, oh, the Big Ten's not the best conference in football. It's the SEC. And then in basketball, the Big Ten can't advance. So I think the narratives that are sprung up about the league make it where the Big Ten is just, a tough conference for people to like outside of the Big Ten country. And I just think within the Big Ten, it makes a lot of people that like the Big Ten not like the other conferences. So that's probably where the frustration breeds from. But I do think overall, looking at the Big Ten, they're a great conference. They make a lot of money. They have great schools and academics. Some of their sports teams are struggling in both sports. But I do think overall it is a great conference. I think a lot of the conferences are great, but definitely the Big Ten and the SEC are starting to separate themselves with all this realignment. Easy Money said, my early comment, I had it right to start with what I just say, the best of the conferences that's left. For sure. That's exactly, I figured out what you meant for sure. But yeah, the Pac-12, that's the easiest one right there. I mean, it's definitely UCLA because they're the only ones left. I had to think about it, but USC's gone, Arizona State just lost, and Arizona's gone, so it's just UCLA. So the Pac-12 is definitely rooting for UCLA to go far to at least boost the morale of the conference. They definitely need the Pac-12 definitely needs UCLA to go far. But I think overall, looking at the other conferences, the fact that there's so many teams still left goes to show that there's more balance in the other leagues. The Pac-12, I know it was UCLA and Arizona all season, but with Arizona's loss, that hurt. It just doesn't make the Pac-12 look all that good, especially if UCLA goes down early. Dave says the SEC started with the whole entire TV contract and taking schools out of their traditional conferences 100%. It's unfortunate, too. I liked it better when the conferences were even. I like the old Big East. Yeah, I wasn't really, alive along when the old Big East existed, but I remember I saw it when I was little. I like that. I liked having Syracuse in the Big East, Louisville, Cincinnati, all those teams, and then you had the Big 12 had Nebraska in it, and Colorado, and Texas A&M, and Missouri. Some people remember all the way back when you had the Southwest Conference, but still, or even the Big 8, but still, that's way back. But if you go back to the late 90s and just have the Pac-12 or the Pac-10 at the time, because you didn't have Colorado and Utah in it, but the Pac-10, the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC and the ACC and the Big East the way it was, I think it would really help out the conferences and the sport in general. But with the Big 10 and the SEC creating so much separation, it makes it a lot tougher on these other conferences to compete when you have the college football playoff and you have all these teams that you're trying to bring in to the playoff from the other conferences. It's really tough to justify them being there when there's not as many good teams from those conferences. It's really tough. Troy V said, what's worse for a program being pathetic all year like my Buckeyes or winning the Big Ten and getting a number one seed to lose to some team nobody's ever heard of? Well, Troy, that's a great question. Thanks for being here, Troy. That's a great question. I would probably say, having a bad year overall, probably, because think about it. I mean, if you have a bad season overall, no one's blaming you for losing to a bad team. But you're Purdue, and people think you're good all year. People think you're going to go far in the tournament. You're potentially the Big Ten's chance to break the title drought or go to the Final Four, and then you lose to Fairleigh Dickinson. I mean, that's just horrible. I mean, Purdue should not have lost that game. If Purdue is truly great, it doesn't even matter if you have a bad game. Houston had a bad game against Northern Kentucky and still won by 11, and they had their starting point guard out, Marcus Sasser, and Houston still won by 11. But Purdue, they had their full roster. No one was injured, and they're playing up against a team in Fairleigh Dickinson, like you said, that no one's heard of. They were ranked 300-plus in KenPom. They didn't even win their conference tournament. Merrimack did, but Merrimack was ineligible because they're transitioning over to Division I, and they still lose the game. And the free throw line, Purdue went to the line like 20 times, and Fairleigh Dickinson went to the line 8 times, and they still lost. I just think overall that's a terrible loss. So I would say, in my opinion, personally, I think that being bad all year long, at least it gives you an excuse for struggling. But I thought Ohio State had a pretty solid year overall, even though they had a losing record. They got a lot of good wins. They just had some things not go their way. Zed Key was hurt. Just a lot of things on the roster didn't mesh well with the transfers. It's unfortunate Ohio State didn't play that well. But Purdue, there's no way they should have lost that game. Easy Money says, Dave, we didn't beg Texas and OU to join. Well, they might not have, the SEC might not have begged Texas and OU to join, but Texas and OU definitely wanted to be in it because you think about it. I mean, you look at the SEC, how much money they're making right now in the Big 12, what they're making on their TV contracts. Overall, the SEC is making way more money. They wanted to join. But that's where the already unbalanced nature of the conferences existed when the SEC already brought in Texas A&M and Missouri. That started it. And then the Big 12 lost Nebraska and Colorado, along with A&M and Missouri. And then you bring in West Virginia, Iowa State, and the Big 12 is down to 10 teams, and it's just not the same. The two conferences aren't even anymore. And then you don't want Texas, Oklahoma don't want to be in it anymore. Easy Money says, hey, Troy, what's up, Buckeye friend? Troy says, what's up, E? Thanks for being here, everybody. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But we got a really good game on tap. Duke, Tennessee is about to start. Easy Money says, yeah, that was crazy. I thought Purdue was a bit overrated, but 16 seed, really? I mean, like I said, I'm pretty shocked myself they lost that game. I thought they'd lose early. I didn't think they lose to Fairleigh Dickinson, but again, it shows their style of play just doesn't work. Easy Money says, wait for my Crimson Tide versus Maryland. That should be a good game. That should be a really good game. All these games should be fun. I mean, San Diego State Furman wasn't that great earlier. San Diego State easily won that one. But if Virginia had to beat Furman, maybe it would have been closer. Who knows? But in this game between Duke and Tennessee, we have a high-level game. 27-21. The defense is there. Tennessee up 6. Both teams are playing very physical. Players are getting bruised up. There's cuts, bruises, hard falls to the floor. It's been a great first half. If you like defense and you like physicality, this is the game for you. But this is the fewest points that Duke scored in the first half in the NCAA tournament ever. That is shocking. 27-21 Tennessee, 19:50 to go in the second. And Tennessee with the basketball. Josiah Jordan-James at the top of the key, and he knocks down a three. Tennessee's up 30-21. Not the start Duke was looking for with Tennessee hitting a three. Now the Volunteers are up by 9 points. Largest lead for Tennessee today, 19:30 to go in the second. Vescovy has 8 points, but more importantly, he has 4 assists as well. He's passing the basketball well to his teammates. Kyle Filipowski on the left block, he shoots a three, and he airballs it in Tennessee with the rebound. Vescovy going down the floor. Vescovy kicks to Uros Plavic. Tennessee turns the ball over. They travel. Troy says, I'll be rooting for y'all. Although me rooting for a team has been the kiss of death for said team this tournament, laughing out loud. Troy, Easy Money says, Troy, did Ohio State make the NIT? I watched Vandy beat Michigan by a point, great ending aside. Yeah, Ohio State did not make the NIT. They were below 500. Easy Money says, Rocky flop starting second half on fire. Tennessee's up by 9. That's a really good shot for Josiah Jordan-James. But Tennessee's still playing great defense on Duke. Duke with 11 turnovers. Dariq Whitehead driving the basketball and another turnover. Uros Plavic with the steal. Vescovy bringing the ball down the floor with a chance to go up double digits for the Volunteers. Vescovy's driving in. He kicks it at Plavic. Good ball movement from the Volunteers so far in the second half. They're passing the ball really well. Josiah Jordan-James for 3. He misses, and Filipowski with the rebound. That's a big miss, though. If he had to hit that shot, Tennessee would have been up by 12. That could have really put Duke on their heels. Only 4 players for Duke have scored in this game. That's insane. But Jeremy Roach, he swings it to Dariq Whitehead. 10 seconds on the shot clock, under 18 to go. Roach for 3, and he hits a shot. Big shot for Duke to cut the lead to 6. 30-24 Tennessee, 17:50 to go in the second. That might be the shot that Duke was looking for. Roach has hit 3 threes in this one. But Tennessee still up 6. Santiago Vescovy's driving. He's being hounded by Duke. He kicks it to Olivier Nakuma in the corner. And Nakuma for 3. 33-24 Volunteers. 17:20 to go in the second. What a shot for Tennessee. The Volunteers offense has come to life. Jeff says, I'm shocked Duke can't score. I'm kind of shocked as well, but Duke's starting to get their offenses going as well. Jeremy Roach, he scored a 2. He drove all the way to the lane and laid it in. He's trying to fire up his team. Both teams are starting out the second half pretty well on offense, but Tennessee with a 7-point lead. Tennessee misses a layup. The ball went in and out. But Jeremy Roach is hurt for Duke. That is not good for the Blue Devils. Hurt his foot. He's trying to walk it off. He might be okay, but that was a tough fall for his ankle. Yeah, his foot went sideways. That hurts. When the Tennessee player was driving in, he was going beside, but he hurt his foot. But Jeremy Roach is trying to walk it off. But 33-26, Tennessee, 16:53 to go in the second. But Duke definitely needs Jeremy Roach in this one. They cannot have him hurt at all. That would be horrible for the Blue Devils. But he's trying to walk it off. He might be okay, but that was definitely a bad turn on his ankle. He rolled it all the way, too. It wasn't a slight roll. It was a tough roll, but he's still out there, toughing it out. But 5 seconds on the shot clock for Duke. Tyrese Proctor having to shoot a step-back three, and he misses. They might have called a foul on Tennessee. Maybe on the three-point shot. Rick Barnes is not happy. Yeah, Uris Plava, he did tip the finger of Tyrese Proctor. It was not the worst foul I've ever seen, but he did get his hand. So it is technically a foul. Uris Plavic does not like it. He's like, that's not that bad of a foul. But Tyrese Proctor, he gets 3 shots for Duke. And he cuts the lead to 6, 33-27, 16-26 to go in the second. Dave Valensky says, my hatred isn't worth all SEC teams, just a fan base from schools that like to live off the coattails of Bama, Georgia, Auburn, and LSU. Well, definitely. I mean, when you're in the SEC, every team definitely wants to prove their worth for sure, but there's not that many teams that are like Alabama and Georgia for sure. But Tyrese Proctor, he hit the second free throw. Tennessee trying to make substitutions. Uris Plavic, he has 3 fouls now. He's done a pretty good job with only 2 fouls, but he just picked up his third. And Tyrese Proctor, he hits all 3 free throws. So a 33-29 lead for Tennessee. 16-20 to go in the second. That was a really tough foul for the Volunteers because Tennessee was in control of this game. But that foul really hurt. Jeremy Roach almost stole the ball. His foot, he's still hurting a little bit, but you can tell he's starting to shake it off. Easy Money says, okay, well, better luck next year. Troy, Ohio State will probably make a playoff appearance and fall, but both our teams need new quarterbacks. I know y'all are going to miss Stroud like I miss Bryce Young for sure. But 33-29, 16 to go in the second. Josiah Jordan James, he gets blocked, but it's still Tennessee basketball off the Duke Blue Devils. But Duke is starting to turn up the defense a little bit. That was a really good block. Light Whitehead might have got a little bit of the hand as well, but they did not call a foul. But Tennessee driving in. Tyreek Key with a step back 2. He misses. Jonas Adu tried to get the rebound, but he could not, and Duke's going down the floor. The Blue Devils have 12 turnovers and 10 made field goals in this game, but they're only down 4. Jeremy Roach trying to drive on Vescovy. Kick it, Tyrese Proctor. He's driving on Tyreek Key. And he gets the layup to fall, 33-31. Thanks for being here, Jackson. He says Duke is getting out the bell with that 7-0 run. And Tennessee, they turn it over. Proctor's driving again. So Duke with a chance to tie or take the lead. Proctor has 7 points. Proctor, he misses a 3. Josiah Jordan James with the rebound for the Volunteers. But Tennessee, they're getting a little cold on offense. But Tennessee for 2. What a pass. Olivier Nakuma with the 2 down low. But that might be the shot that Tennessee needed to get the momentum back in their favor. Duke had really started to ratchet up the offense, but Tyreek Key to Olivier Nakuma for 2 and 1. As Jackson points out, it's now a 7-2 run. But 35-31 Tennessee, 15 to go in the second. But Tennessee, their offense has definitely come to life a little bit in the second. And for a stretch, Duke was really struggling as well, but they're starting to get things figured out on the offensive end. So the offense is starting to come around for both teams. But it's going to be really interesting to see how Tennessee keeps handling the talent of Duke. It seems like Duke's starting to get some easier buckets in the second. I don't know if that's the fatigue that Tennessee is having, because they play great defense in this one, but it's really tough to continually play great defense for 40 minutes. Because sometimes you can just get tired and you run out of gas. I'm not saying Tennessee's at that point. They seem to still be playing hard, but Duke starting to get into a rhythm on offense, because Duke had 21 points in the whole entire first half, but they've already scored 10 points in the first 5 minutes of the second. So they're really starting to get their offense going. In Tennessee, you look at them as well. They were really struggling on the offensive end in the first, but they did have 27 points. They've scored 8 points in the first 5 minutes. Not playing too badly on the offensive end. But it will be interesting to see if Duke can come back and take the lead, or if Tennessee can keep the lead. Tennessee has done a good job in this game. I think they've definitely played textbook style defense that Rick Barnes wants his team to play. The style of defense that Rick Barnes knows his team has to play if they want to win this game. And I think they've done a really good job of that. But Duke's talent is definitely starting to show itself. Tyrese Proctor with a couple good buckets. Jeremy Roach is playing well. Kyle Filipowski had a pretty good first half. But Duke's not getting a lot of contributions from their bench. That's been an issue in this game. Ron Young hasn't done much when he's played Jacob Grandison. But if Duke can start getting some contributions from other players, that would really help Duke win. Easy Money says Tennessee's going on spurts than Duke does. For sure, it's back and forth. And that's definitely what you want to see in a game like this. This is the round of 32. This is March Madness. You're getting to some of the big games. And both these teams are high-level basketball teams. Duke, the Blue Blood, Tennessee, has had a lot of great moments in basketball. And Rick Barnes, he's had some good teams with Tennessee, but just has not been able to advance far in the tournament. This would be a huge win for Rick Barnes. To be able to get to the Sweet 16 with a win over Duke would be a big win for Rick Barnes' image and the Tennessee program as a whole, because they've lost so many games early on in the NCAA tournament. I think this would be a much bigger win for Tennessee than it would be for Duke. Obviously, it would be a big win for Jon Scheyer in his first year as head coach to get Duke to the Sweet 16. But Rick Barnes, he's been head coach for a long time, hasn't made a Sweet 16 in many years. But Olivier Nakuma, he hits the free throw on the and one, so it's 36-31. But Jeremy Roach is 4 fouls. That's huge for Duke. So now Jeremy Roach is on the bench. He just picked up his 4th foul with 15 minutes to go in the game. Not a smart foul by Jeremy Roach. Duke really needs on the offensive end, so it'll be interesting to see how Duke does without him. And they just call a top, but Duke has the possession arrow. So it's 36-31. Tennessee with under 15 to go in the second half. You're absolutely correct, Jeff. He says that's major on Roach, not smart. I completely agree. You got to save your fouls. For sure. You're absolutely correct. 14:46 to go in the second, and Tennessee up 5. 36-31. 14:40 to go in the second. Tyrese Proctor, he's going to have to run the point now for Duke. He kicks it to Kyle Filipowski on the left block, driving on Olivier Nakuma, and they do call a foul on Nakuma. There's not much he can do there. Filipowski has the height advantage. But Duke's probably going to have to do more of that in the second half. Get the ball in the post to Filipowski and try to draw some fouls. But Nakuma, he has 3 fouls now for Tennessee. And he goes to the bench. Easy Money says 4 fouls, lots of time left. Not good for Duke. They're going to need him 100%. But we'll see if Tyrese Proctor can handle the point. He's a capable guard as well. But a turnover, Filipowski tried to kick it to Dariq Whitehead in the corner. And Josiah Jordan-James with the steal. He's had a pretty solid game for Tennessee. He's driving in. He takes the short 2. And Tennessee now up by 7. 38-31, 14 to go in the second. Big shot for Josiah Jordan-James. He's only 3 of 11 from the field, but he has 7 points. Not having a great offensive game statistically from the field on field goal percentage. but that was a big make. But Tyrese Proctor all the way to the cup. He scores. He's got 9 points. 38-33. Duke's cut it back to 5. 13:50 to go in the second. But Tennessee starting to get some more offense out of players not named Santiago Vescovi. Josiah Jordan-James, he's trying to drive. He kicks it at Jonas Aidoo. And Tyreek Key at the top of the key. He misses a 3, but Derek Lively with the rebound. He's got yet another board. Duke shooting much better in the second half so far, but Tennessee's offense has come to life as well. The offense is starting to pick up, but 13:20 to go in the second half. And Tennessee with a 38-33 lead over Duke. Tyrese Proctor's trying to drive again. He kicks it to Filipowski in the corner. He fakes. And Filipowski misses a 2. Jonas Aidoo with the rebound. Really good defense from the Volunteers. They went straight up on Filipowski's drive to not foul. With Vescovi with the ball for the Volunteers. He's driving in. He misses a tough layup. And Derek Lively with yet another board. He has to be approaching double-digit rebounds. Tyrese Proctor trying to drive down the floor. And Proctor all the way to the hoop yet again. He misses a tough layup. Great defense by Tennessee. Vescovi's bringing the ball down the floor again. The offense is starting to go cold for both teams. Vescovi for 3 at the top of the key. He knocks it down. Tennessee up 41-33. 12:30 to go in the second. What a shot from Vescovi. And John Shire has to use his third timeout. 41-33. John Shire with 2 timeouts left. He had 3, but now he's got 2 timeouts. It will be interesting to see how the timeouts go at the end of this game, whether both teams have enough timeouts at the end. But what a shot by Santiago Vescovi at the top of the key. He's a great shooter, but his shooting percentages are kind of low because he has to take difficult shots. But finally, Tennessee set a ball screen, got him a really good look at the top of the key, and he drilled it. And now Tennessee's up 8. That's really good news for Rick Barnes' team. You've got Jeremy Roach in foul trouble. And now you're up 8. And really all Tennessee has to do if they want to win this game is try to stay out of foul trouble, continue to play hard on the defensive end. If you can stay ahead of Duke and rattle the Blue Devils, you could win. But there's still a lot of time left in this game. Duke has still a great chance to win. They can settle it down, start making some shots. But that's huge with Jeremy Roach having 4 fouls. Easy Money says our stars are great, but our bench players are dependable. Not much of a letdown. That's good if my Bama stars get in foul trouble. 100% agree. And you can see with a lot of teams in the tournament, if they don't have bench depth, you could lose. I think overall, you look at a lot of teams, they lose games because their bench is weak. You need your bench. Some people will say, well, the bench doesn't play that much and you only need the starters. But I just don't think that's true. You have to have your bench. If your bench scores 20 points, along with 50 or 55 points from your starters, you have a much better chance to win than if your bench only contributes 5 and your starters have to score 60, 65 points. Makes it a lot easier when more guys were scoring. That's how Leonard Hamilton, his teams were really potent back 3 or 4 years ago when he had 10 guys that were all capable of scoring the basketball at a high level. They were a really dangerous team. Easy Money says, Jeffrey, you'd make a great play-by-play guy. Thank you, Easy Money. I definitely like doing the play-by-play live reaction to these games. You guys make it awesome, too. Thank you guys so much for being here. But it's a lot of fun. But this has been a high-level basketball game. Thanks for your kind words, Easy Money. Thank you so much for being here. It will be interesting to see what happens at the end of this game, though, because if Tennessee continues to play great defense, they've done it for 28 minutes, but sometimes the hardest part of the game to do it is at the end. You start getting tired at the end of the game, and all Duke needs is a spurt, a big run to get back in this one. You're welcome. Thumbs up from Easy Money. Again, thank you so much. But this has been a fantastic game. A lot of defense, a lot of physicality. It's been a very fun game. Definitely living up to the hype. But another big reason for Tennessee's success in this game, they have 10 assists. Duke has only 5 as a team. They're not getting easy shots for their teammates. A lot of it's off isolation, one-on-one. I think that was the problem NC State had the other night when they played Creighton. But they bring Jeremy Roach back in the game. That is gutsy from Jon Scheyer. With 12 minutes to go in the game, Jeremy Roach is back in with those 4 fouls. But Kyle Filipowski off a Jeremy Roach pass, he scores a 2, so you definitely see the impact Jeremy Roach makes. But Filipowski with 7 points. Tyreek Key, he kicks it out to Julian Phillips. Down to Toby Awaka on the block. But Filipowski was hounding him. And it's off of Duke. So Tennessee still has the basketball. It's 41-35, 12 to go in the second. Easy Money says, looky at old Rocky Flop. Tennessee's hanging in there right now. Vescovi, 7 seconds on the shot clock. He shoots a 3 over Proctor, and he knocks down a big step back 3 over Tyrese Proctor. What a shot. 44-35. Vescovi has 14, and he's at 4 threes. That's exactly what Tennessee needs out of him if they want to win. 11:30 to go in the second. Jeremy Roach trying to drive. Kicks it to Proctor. Jacob Grandison, he fakes a 3. He's trying to drive on Vescovi. Almost turns it over. But he gets a big layup. What a shot by Jacob Grandison, the Illinois transfer. Those are his first points of the game. 44-37. 11:10 to go in the second. But Tennessee still with a 7-point lead. That's the first bench points for Duke from Jacob Grandison. They have 2 bench points, and Tennessee has 13 bench points. A major key in this game. But for the Stars, Vescovi's playing really well for Tennessee. Jonas Adu on the block. He kicks to Tyreek Key. Tyreek Key to Vescovi. Vescovi for 3. Has to shoot it up, and it's a turnover. He had to hoist with no time on the clock, but there's 10:49 left in the second half. Tennessee up 44-37, and Rick Barnes is not happy. He probably thought Vescovi might have got fouled on that 3. But so far, Tennessee is hanging in there. Every time Duke makes a run, Tennessee hits a big shot. Mainly Vescovi, but it's going to be really interesting. Can they keep it up for the last 10:49? Still waiting for Duke to go on that run that they're so accustomed to having late in the second half. There's still plenty of time in this game. Duke has so much talent. Kyle Filipowski, Jeremy Roach, even though he has 4 fouls. Tyrese Proctor. Just so many good players. I think that overall, if Duke's talent can find a way to start getting some buckets in the second half, late in the second half, I think they could win this game. But if Tennessee keeps playing the high-level defense that they are, and Santiago Vescovi can continue to hit timely buckets, and he can get more contributions from his teammates, because Tennessee does have 13 bench points so far, Tennessee could win. It would be I wouldn't say a major upset. I don't think it would be a major upset, but it still would be an upset nevertheless, because you do look at the fact that Tennessee has not been to the Sweet 16 in a while. Duke is Duke. It might not be Coach K, but they still have a lot of talent. And Jon Scheyer, his basketball team has played much better down the stretch. So a lot of people were thinking Duke could be a Final Four team. But if Duke's going to be a Final Four team, they have to get this win. So it will be interesting. Easy Money says, old Rocky fought given the AC best, in my opinion, heck, and I don't think the Miami Ducks will last much longer. Yeah, I completely agree. They are playing great. I wouldn't say it's as great as Nolan Richardson's 40 minutes of heck back in the 90s, the way he, had his teams playing defense. But Tennessee is doing a really good job. And to your point, I don't think Miami could go much further either. I think they could beat Indiana, but Miami's tallest player is 6'7". And if Trace Jackson Davis has a big game against Miami, then Miami could lose in the round of 32. And even if they make the Sweet 16, it'll be tough for them to beat Houston if Houston beats Auburn. So it will be interesting, but Duke's going to have to get it turned around. They will not win. Dave Walensky says Minnesota will be playing Bama in football in 2032-33, and 2033 will be going to Bama. I can't wait for the tailgating. Can Bama fans beat Auburn fans in tailgating? I will say that's a long way away. That's a decade away. But I guess it's never too early to start thinking ahead for sure. Dave Walensky also said when Minnesota played Auburn in the Outback Bowl, Auburn was pretty good at tailgating Bama fans. Can you step up your game? So a little bit of trolling from Dave. I'm sure Alabama fans will definitely be great at tailgating. They have great fans, a big fan base. They're starting to get ready for the Arkansas-Kansas game. They'll be tipping off at 5:25. That should be a great game as well. But this game between Duke and Tennessee, a little bit lower scoring than expected, but Tennessee's style of play, the way they're playing is definitely the way they're going to win. They have to play this high-level defense if they want to pull out this W over Duke. But it's been a really good game. But Duke with the basketball, down 7, 10:49 to go in the second in the round of 32. Kyle Filipowski, he passes to Tyrese Proctor. He swings it to Jeremy Roach, who still has his 4 fouls, and Jeremy Roach all the way to the hoop, and he misses a layup. Really good defense from Tennessee. They didn't foul. Olivier Nakuma with the board. Santiago Vescovi with the basketball. He's had a really good second half. He's hit 4 threes in this game, all at timely points for Tennessee. Vescovi fakes a 3. He was looking for Jonas Aidoo, but Filipowski knocked him off balance where he couldn't get the ball. And Julian Phillips, he dunks the ball off a miss from Olivier Nakuma. What a dunk. That's why you always have to guard the weak side help, the weak side defender. If you don't, then you can always get the offensive rebound. But what a putback from Julian Phillips. And then on the other end, Tyrese Proctor hits a big 3. He has 12 points for Duke, 46-40. It's going back and forth. 9:40 to go in the second. Tyreek Key for Tennessee driving into the lane. He misses a 2. Olivier Nakuma with the board. Vescovi in the corner. He misses a 3. And Filipowski, he gets the rebound. So a big miss from Vescovi. He had a really good look in the corner, but he couldn't hit it. But Tennessee still with a 6-point lead. 9:10 to go in the second half. Volunteers up 6. Filipowski trying to draw on Jonas Aidoo. And he scores the 2. 46-42. 9 to go in the second half. Duke's cut it to 4. They're on a little 5-0 run. Is this the run that Duke needs to get back in this game? 8:50 to go in the second. Filipowski up to 9 points. And Julian Phillips is fouled on the drive on the floor. He hit the shot, but they don't give it to him. The foul is on the floor. And they're looking at who the foul is on. Did Jeremy Roach foul out of this game? He's saying it's on Tyrese Proctor. It looks like Jeremy Roach might have fouled out of this game, unless they don't give it to him because of the fact he's got 4 and they'll give it to Proctor. But Jeremy Roach is the one that fouled. Proctor got all ball. Proctor got all ball, and Jeremy Roach hit Julian Phillips on the arm. So Jeremy Roach should foul out of this game. They called the foul on Tyrese Proctor, but Jeremy Roach is the one that fouled. So Duke gets away with a break, but Jeremy Roach fouled him. Got him on the arm. But they call it on Tyrese Proctor, so he's still in the game. Olivier Nakuma for 2 for Tennessee. 48-42 Volunteers. Another big shot by Olivier Nakuma. He's had a solid game, but Jeremy Roach, who's still in this game, definitely could have fouled out, but the refs called it on Proctor. Jeremy Roach, he kicks it to Dariq Whitehead. Filipowski at the top of the key. And that's an offensive foul on Kyle Filipowski. He drove in on Olivier Nakuma. He probably thought that Nakuma was moving his feet, but he steamrolled him. So I definitely can agree with the offensive foul. He used his arm as well to create some separation. That's textbook offensive foul. So Tennessee with a 6-point lead, 48-42, and there's 8:20 to go in the second. Tennessee still playing high-level defense in this game. Jon Scheyer trying to fire his team up. Easy Money says, Dave, we beat Auburn and everything. Bama, also Bama is home and home with West Virginia, Virginia Tech. Ohio State Tech's already started with them, but those others this decade. That's amazing. Alabama's got a lot of fantastic games in football. I'll be looking forward to those for sure. Olivier Nakuma for 3. Tennessee for 3. It's 51-42. The Volunteers are back up by 9. There's 8 to go in the second half. Olivier Nkouma has 15 points. He's 2 of 2 from 3, and the Volunteers are getting contributions from a lot of different players. Filipowski trying to drive it again, and he scores a floater. So it's 51-44. The Blue Devils respond. But the Volunteers with a 7-point lead with 7:40 to go in the second. Filipowski has 11 points. Tyreek Key in the corner. They get it to Uris Plavic, back to Santiago Vescovi. Up to Nkouma at the top to keep Plavic down low, and they call an offensive foul on Tennessee. Tennessee's like, what did I do? But they do call a foul on an illegal screen. So it's Duke basketball. But the Volunteers still hold a 7-point lead. It's 51-44 with 7:24 to go. Easy money says, Dave, once upon a time, Minnesota back in the day was winning football championships. I'm sure you knew that. Minnesota was good in football in the past. Easy money says, Dave, you do realize Auburn stands for Alabama usually beats us. That's what those letters mean in that word, Auburn. Hey, I will tell you, Alabama does have a bigger history than Auburn. Auburn is a great school in their own right, but Alabama has definitely one more for sure. Dave Valensky responds, easy money. We didn't just win it. One national championship. We have won 7 national championships. We're the last team to win back-to-back national championships. I love the banter back and forth. Easy money says, I think y'all won like 3 in a row, maybe in the 30s. But yeah, you guys were a force back then. For sure. I mean, it's crazy to read about teams back in the past that were great that no longer are good anymore. It's insane. But definitely for sure, Minnesota has a history. A lot of teams have a history. I mean, even Colorado, they won a national championship back in 1990. TCU, they won a national championship in the 30s. So it's crazy. Definitely a lot of history in college football. Dave Valensky, yep, the Bernie Bierman Day. How do I know that his name is on one of the buildings at the university? Well, that's definitely smart of the universities of putting, the names and the statues of some of the older players and coaches from back in the older eras, because if they didn't, you wouldn't know them as much. I mean, you still look them up online and read about the past, but it's really smart of universities to, put the statues of the great players and coaches from the past. They need to be remembered, because a lot of times if it wasn't for those players, then I don't think that overall you would not be having the success that these teams have today, because it had to be built on a foundation. So it's awesome. It's great to hear the history. Easy Money says, Bama is by far the most consistent winning football championships. Been doing it since the 1920s, still winning with far less gaps in between. Definitely. I mean, you look at Bear Bryant, a lot of people did not think Alabama would ever have success again after Bear Bryant. And yes, they had some down years, but then you get Nick Saban and it's back. So I completely agree. But Tennessee with a 7-point lead over the Duke Blue Devils. A high-level basketball game is 51-44. 7:20 to go in the second. It's been a fantastic game. Should be a great finish. Definitely looking forward to the end of this game. It'll be really interesting to see, can Tennessee finally advance far in the tournament, get to the Sweet 16? It's something they've definitely struggled to do as a program under Rick Barnes. They've had a lot of regular season success, but they've struggled mightily come tournament time. Which should be a fun ending to this basketball game. I think the Duke Blue Devils called a break for sure when Jeremy Roach could have picked up his 5th foul, but they didn't call it. But they definitely called an offensive foul on Uris Plavic. He hit Kyle Filipowski in the head. Which gives the ball back to the Duke Blue Devils. That's a break for Duke. Dave Valensky said, I was in high school when Nick Saban coached Michigan State. That was a long time ago. Nick Saban He had some success at Michigan State. He obviously wasn't able to win a national championship there, but he had some success. But I think overall, it definitely started his career of the success that he has had at LSU and Alabama. You had to start somewhere, but they're reviewing it for a flagrant foul on Uris Plavsic. I don't know if it's a flagrant foul. Probably just a common foul. Easy money says Bama has 18 championships. A couple I don't agree with, but about 3 or 4 they got, should have won them, but they didn't give it to them. 45, 66, 77. Forget the other one. Yeah, you look at Alabama. They have some of the best history of any team in college football. They have a lot of great years. But Duke with the basketball, Tyrese Proctor. Duke down 7. Jeremy Roach with the basketball, who's still hanging in there. Definitely could have fouled out, but he's still in. He passes to Tyrese Proctor. Duke trying to find their way on the offensive end. Proctor shoots a 2, and he knocks it down. Duke's cut it to 5. 51-46, 7 to go in the second. Proctor's up to 14 points. Tennessee's definitely going to have to find some more offense. They want to be able to have a chance to win this game because Duke is cutting it close. Duke's trying to come back. There's 6:40 to go in the second. Julian Phillips drives in. He misses a 2, but the ball gets tapped back out, and Tennessee regains possession. Vescovi kicks it to Tyreek Key down to Olivier Nakuma. He kicks it back out to Vescovi. Vescovi trying to get open. He kicks it into Nakuma for 2. And Olivier Nakuma with the short turnaround jumper. It's 53-46 Tennessee. 6:20 to go in the second. It's getting interesting. Jeff says, man, Duke better get on. They do not look good at all. They are struggling. They've shot better from the field in the second half, but Tennessee continues to score as well. And Duke has turned the ball over a lot. But Tyrese Proctor at the top of the key. Tennessee with a 7-point lead. 6 to go in the second. Proctor with a step back 2, and he knocks it down. What a shot by Proctor. That's a tough shot. 53-48, under 6 to go. Tennessee consistently maintaining a lead, but Proctor with 14 huge points in the second half. He has 16 for the game, but he's a big reason Duke has a chance to win. He's been playing really well. Easy Money says we had 2 goats at Bama. Bear Bryant Saban had at least 4 other coaches with 1 or more championships. That's success. That is just fantastic success for sure. Most programs cannot boast that. Uris Plavsic down to Olivier Nakuma on the block, and he scores a dunk. It's 55-48, 5:30 to go. Tennessee basketball is doing everything they can to win this game. They're passing well with 14 assists. Duke only has 8. 5:20 to go in the second. Tyrese Proctor kicks to Derek Lively. Kicks it to Roach. Roach is trying to drive it, and there's a turnover. Tennessee basketball. Jeff says Tennessee might break the curse. You never know. It's possible. They're up 7 with 5 to go. Tyreek Key dribbling around. But Tennessee's playing a really good second half. There's 5 to go in the second half. Uris Plavsic gets the ball to Vescovi. Under 5 to go. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. Olivier Nakuma thought about the 3. He's driving in. Olivier Nakuma misses the shot, but they call a foul on Duke. Dave Valensky says, my uncle was a student at Notre Dame in 1973. The last year of Ara Parsons, he went to the Sugar Bowl when Notre Dame beat Bama to win the national championship. That's cool. That's really cool. Inside the Pylons says, hey, everyone, thanks for being here inside the Pylons. We've got a really good finish to this game, but it's definitely looking like Tennessee could possibly win. Volunteers up 7. Olivier Nakuma at the line, but he does miss the first, and you have to make your free throws if you want to get victories in March Madness. But there's 4:49 to go. Volunteers with a 7-point lead. Nakuma has a second free throw. But he's got 19 points in this game. He only had 8 against Louisiana Lafayette. And he hits the second free throw, so he has 20 points. 56-48 Tennessee. Filipowski with 3 fouls. He only has 11 points, but 4:40 to go in the second. Tyrese Proctor with the basketball. Proctor drives. He kicks to Jeremy Roach in the corner, and Jeremy Roach misses a 3. Tennessee with the rebound with an 8-point lead. 4:30 to go in the second. Santiago Vescovi kicks to Uros Plavic. He's had a quiet game. He's been getting some rebounds. Tennessee kicks to Olivier Nakuma for 3, and he knocks it down. Tennessee's up by 11. Nakuma has 23 points. If the Volunteers win, it's a big reason because of him. He's on a fantastic game. He's 9 of 11 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, giving Vescovi a lot of help. Largest lead for Tennessee in this game. They're up by 11 points with 3:58 to go. Proctor shoots a 3, and he misses for Duke. And there's a foul on Derek Lively on the rebound attempt. Tennessee with the basketball, up 11, under 4 to go. And the Volunteers might be going to the Sweet 16 if they can hold on. Thanks for being here, everybody. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But we have a fantastic game, and thanks, everyone, for being here. Tennessee up by 11. Duke's offense is completely falling asleep. Inside the Pylons is just popping in to say hi and let's go Blue Devils. Hey, the Blue Devils, man, they might fall short. They have a really good team this year, but Tennessee is making shots, especially Olivier Nakuma. He's had a huge game. Inside the Pylons is how about those nightcap games last night? There were some great games. You look overall at Indiana, Kent State, Miami Drake, TCU, Arizona State, lots of great games. TCU, Indiana, Miami getting the wins. But this game right here, you got the Duke Blue Devils down by 11 to Tennessee. The Volunteers have struggled in the NCAA tournament. Rick Barnes has had so much success in the regular season throughout his coaching career, but has not advanced. But Tennessee could be going to the Sweet 16 if they can hold on. What a game. The Duke Blue Devils are down by 11 points, under 4 to go. San Diego State got a big win over Furman earlier today. They're in the Sweet 16, but could Tennessee be joining them? It will be interesting to see what happens. Easy Money says lots of good basketball. Really good March Madness. March Madness is awesome every year, but it just seems to get better and better almost every single season. Inside the Pylon said, I need Duke to win. Well, hopefully for you, maybe they can make a move, but Tennessee's playing some great basketball right now. They're up by 11. Really good chance to win. Inside the Pylon says, FDU, baby. What a game last night. Inside the Pylon said, I saw that game in person. It was quite the atmosphere. Purdue's fans really tried to help them win that game. But FDU, the shortest team in Division I, a 16th seed that shouldn't even been in the tournament if Mary Mack was eligible, got the win over Purdue. Their style of play definitely let them down again. And Edwards said, I've been saying Purdue's overrated. Well, their style of play, I think, really hurts them in the tournament. In Tennessee, their style of play, I think, while better than Purdue's, they have not won games in March Madness with Rick Barnes. But they could get a huge win over Duke and send the Blue Devils packing home. But it's not over yet. It's an 11-point game, under 4 to go. Duke still has enough time to potentially come back, but Tennessee will have the basketball out of this timeout. They will be inbounding the basketball. PC Money says, Pylon, Purdue, they definitely fell short for sure. Edwards said Kyle Filipowski not having a good game. That will cost Duke. He needs to get it together. There's still time. It's not over till it's 0-0. Tyrese Proctor's had a good game for Duke. He has 16, but Olivier Nakuma has been the star for Tennessee. He has 23 points. Vescovi with 14. Both combining for 37 of Tennessee's 59 points. But you have a 59-48 lead for the Volunteers. 3:53 to go. Everyone like the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But thank you guys so much for being here. And we got a great finish on our hands. In Tennessee, they had to call timeout. Duke trapped. They didn't want to turn it over, get a backcourt violation, so they do call a timeout. 3:48 to go in the second half, and Tennessee still clinging to an 11-point lead. Inside the Pylon said, I agree. I still don't know how Edey got a double-double. Jeff says, not much time. It's now or never for Duke. It is now or never. If they can't go on a big run, I've been waiting for their run. They usually go on a big run in second halves. But if they don't go on a run in the next 3 minutes and 48 seconds, they will not win. Dave Valensky says, did anyone see the whiteboard be absolutely destroyed by Purdue? It was the only time in the game where they dominated the boards. For sure, Dave. That's a good one. And you also look at Tom Izzo breaking the clipboard. And then they were showing Jay Wright try to break a clipboard, but then the CBS crew, one of the guys in the crew, he finally broke the little clipboard. But Tom Izzo, he still got power. But this game right here, this will be a big win for Tennessee if they can hold on. Tennessee with the basketball, 3:48 to go. And they inbound the basketball. Vescovi gives it to Nakuma. Nakuma back to Vescovi. Volunteers just need to play smart basketball. Back to Juris Plavic at the top of the key. Vescovi has it with 5 seconds on the shot clock. 3:30 to go in the second. Vescovi's driving in. He kicks to Nakuma in the corner. And Olivier Nakuma misses a three this time. He had a really good look in the corner. Could have put Tennessee up by 14. Could have been the dagger. But Duke with a little bit of life. Tyrese Proctor trying to drive in, but he takes a three. He misses the three. And you got Juris Plavic with the board, and he kicks to Josiah Jordan-James. And Josiah Jordan-James is fouled by Jalen Blakes, who's been inserted into the game. So now Duke with 6 fouls, one more, and it will be a 1-1 for Tennessee the rest of the way. Jeff says it hasn't happened on a run. That's surprising it hasn't happened. Usually Duke goes on a run, but Tennessee, their defense has kept the Blue Devils at bay. Duke's really struggling to make shots. And that could cost them. Easy Money says, geez, Tennessee up by 11. A lot of people are shocked. I mean, I'm kind of shocked myself. I thought Duke definitely had a better chance to win than Tennessee. But overall, it's a single elimination tournament. And you have to play well every single game. You can't have a bad game. And if you do have a bad game, you have to overcome your errors and find a way to win ugly. And it looks like Duke could fall short. It'd be a huge win for Rick Barnes. It would be a huge win for Tennessee as a program overall. They haven't been to the Sweet 16 in a while. Rick Barnes hasn't been to the Sweet 16 in many years himself as a coach. And I think this will definitely help out his image and the narrative that he can potentially take a team far in March Madness. Edwards said, just so you know, Purdue out-rebounded them 42-33. I think that if you look at the rebounds for Purdue, especially the fact that you're playing against the shortest team in college basketball and FDU, to only out-rebounded by 9 is not a lot. That's not a lot at all. Purdue definitely should have out-rebounded them by more. It should have been probably a performance of over 15 out-rebounded them on the glass. But Tennessee, Duke did score. It's 59-50. 2:30 to go in the second. Tennessee trying to get the ball across half court, but the Blue Devils did get a score. 2:25 to go in the second. Tennessee just has to play smart basketball down the stretch. Can't turn the basketball over. Got to make your free throws. And they might be going to the Sweet 16 if they can. Jeff says the best I've seen Tennessee play in a while, for sure. I mean, they're a good basketball team. They've had a lot of good performances this year. But overall, looking at Tennessee, they've had a lot of bad games this season as well. They have a really talented team. But when you play poorly throughout the season, it definitely does not instill confidence that you can win a big game like this. But again, all it takes is one good game. But Tennessee at the foul line for a 1-1. These are big free throws. If you miss the front end, it gives Duke a really good chance to get back in this one. But Tennessee at the line for a 1-1. Tennessee shot the ball fairly well at the line today, and they do hit the free throw. It barely goes in, 60-50. Easy Money says they both made runs in the game, but Tennessee hasn't left, and Duke isn't catching them for sure. Duke had to get the lead. Duke had to get back in the game and take the lead and take the game from Tennessee, and they have not done that. But Tennessee with another free throw, they do miss the second. So it is 60-50, but it's still a 4-possession game with only 2:20 to go in the second. Tyrese Proctor trying to bring Duke down the floor. Jeremy Roach for 2. He knocks it down, 60-52. Duke's cut it to 8. Nice pass from Nakuma to Josiah Jordan-James. And Duke with another foul, another 1-1 for Tennessee. 2:04 to go. They're up 8. Inside the pylon, so they just shut down Edey. He didn't want to drive into the basket. They forced him to only pass the ball. And Purdue didn't make shots. Purdue has to make shots to win, and they did not. But Tennessee with an 8-point lead, 60-52, 2:04 to go. Tennessee could survive. But Duke doing everything they possibly can to get back in this one. But a 1-1 for the Volunteers. And they hit the first. So it's 61-52, a 9-point lead for the Volunteers. 2:04 to go in the second. Another free throw for Tennessee. Duke fans getting a little worried. But thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Like the stream down below. Share the stream out on social media. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. But thanks, everyone, for being here. Tennessee misses the second free throw. Filipowski with 4 fouls. 9-point lead for Tennessee, 61-52. Tyrese Proctor for 2. He misses. Derek Lively with the rebound. Jeremy Roach shoots a 3, and he misses. And Santiago Vescovi with the rebound. Tennessee up 9. 1:40 to go in the second. Vescovi gets the ball back. Duke's not fouling. Trying to play straight-up defense. But they're going to have to get a miss and score a couple times if they won't have any chance. The Volunteers with a 9-point lead with 1:30 to go in the second. But this will be a huge win for Rick Barnes' team to get into the Sweet 16, something a lot of people thought that they could not do. Easy Money says Tennessee played great early season and tapered off at the end, up and down. Yeah, they really struggled in SEC play. They had some ups and downs, had some bad performances, but they also played well at times too. But definitely, Tennessee was an inconsistent basketball team, but they did seem to start playing better as the season went along. But what a dunk by Olivier Nkouma. He has 25 points. Olivier Nkouma has been the big reason Tennessee's been winning this game. He has 25 points. Josiah Jordan-James, he missed a jump shot, and Nkouma with the big dunk. 63-52. Is Duke going to foul? Are they going to try? Doesn't look like it right now. There's 58 seconds left. Tennessee's up by 11. It looks like the Volunteers are going to the Sweet 16. And they do foul Nkouma with 48 seconds left. What a game by Olivier Nkouma. 25 points. He has done nothing wrong in this game. He's averaged 10 points this year. He's been a solid player for Rick Barnes, but what a game. Edwards said Edey doesn't drive the ball, period. Just stands down the low post and does hook shot. That's about it. Easy Money says full court press Duke playing right now. They're trying, but it looks like it's going to be too little too late for sure. Edwards said they double team and harassed Edey, and he struggles with double team. Inside the pylons, it was funny watching the ball hit him in the face. That was fine. I don't like when anyone gets hit in the head, but that was funny to see, though. But I hated it for him. He got hit in the head, but that was funny. Easy Money said, what an assist done. That was incredible. But Nkouma, he's up to 27 points. 65-52, Tennessee, 45 seconds left. It looks like the Volunteers are going to win this one. Duke's offense just completely fell asleep. They had nothing on offense. Easy Money says, I've been saying, I bet 8 SEC teams get further than the Big Ten 8 teams. The Big Ten teams are falling, SEC winning so far, especially with Tennessee. Tennessee's definitely making the conference look really good. Dave said, what games are you doing next? I'm thinking about doing Maryland, Alabama tonight at 9:40. That's probably the other game I'm probably going to do. I would do Arkansas, Kansas, but I'm kind of busy. But I should be able to do Maryland, Alabama tonight. But what a performance from Tennessee. It looks like the Volunteers are going to hold on. What a performance from Rick Barnes' squad, up by 13. But thanks, everyone, for being here. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Share the stream on social media. But you guys are the best. You make these streams so much better. You guys are awesome. Easy Money, so are you doing the Bama game tonight? I definitely should be. Maryland, Alabama should be a high-level game. I'm looking forward to it. That I more than likely will be doing that one tonight. Edward says Texas, Penn State probably the best game night. It could be for sure. And they'll both be on at the same time partly, so I'll probably be doing kind of a double coverage a little bit, especially while that game's still on. Easy Money says that's all she wrote. Tennessee 65, Duke 52. Congrats on Rocky Flop. I'm a little behind again. I think I'm a little bit more behind today for whatever reason. But yeah, it definitely looked like Tennessee had the lead by 13. So congratulations to Tennessee getting the big win over Duke. 65-52. I'm really shocked Duke played so poorly on the offensive end. Yeah, and they're interviewing Olivier Nakuma. Tennessee dribbles the clock out. Now they're interviewing Nakuma, and they get the big win over Duke, 65-52. What a game for the Volunteers. Proves they can win in March Madness. Jackson said Tennessee stepping up and Mark. Wait a minute. Why do I get the feeling they will follow it up with a loss to Florida Atlantic or Fairleigh Dickinson in the Sweet 16? Well, they have a really good chance to beat either of those teams, I think, if they play like they did today. But you never know. Easy Money says, awesome, dude. The Bama Maryland game, I definitely probably should be able to do that one. Jeff says, go Bama. You bet you roll tide. Easy Money says, great show, Jeffrey. Bye, Dave Pollen. Roll tide. We'll jet everyone later, y'all. Thanks for being here, Easy Money. You were awesome. But what a game. Jeff says the curse is gone. Tennessee finally in the Sweet 16 get a big win over the Duke Blue Devils, and the Blue Devils are sent home. Big win for Rick Barnes. Easy Money says it's March Madness, Jackson. But what a 65-52 win for Tennessee. Olivier Nakuma was the star. He had a big game. Couldn't do no wrong. He had 27 points. Vescovy had 14. But Duke just could not get enough out of the roster besides Tyrese Proctor and Jeremy Roach and Kyle Filipowski. He didn't have his best game. But what a win for Tennessee, a 65-52 win. And the Volunteers are in the Sweet 16. But thanks for being here, everybody. Like the stream down below. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Share the stream out on social media. But Tennessee with a big 65-52 win over Duke. Thanks for being here, everybody. It's going to be some more big games later. Should be able to do the Maryland-Alabama game tonight. But thanks for being here, everybody. March Madness is here. Thanks for being here, everybody.